So, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching. I just want you to know that today is a great day for you to be a part of our Be in the Ecosystem Virtual Summit. This is an event that we put together because we wanted to make sure that we celebrated a couple of things, we highlighted a couple of things, and we just kind of let you know what is going on in the ecosystem. Now, this is specifically kind of set for North Carolina, but guess what? If you're anywhere else in the United States or abroad, you can still tune in and you can, just get to see what's happening. But we are going to be talking about the ecosystem in North Carolina and a little bit in South Carolina as well. So I want to just go ahead and just, bring up everything so that this way you can get into our presentation today. If you are watching us live, then I want to say hello and welcome to you. And this particular summit is something that I had in my mind, and I just want you to know, I'll give you some background about who I am. I'm Chisa Penix Brown, and our company is called Give It to the People. And I'll talk about what we do, but just for me individually, I am a virtual educator. So I love to teach online. And I also like to make sure that one of the things that I do is make things easy for people and actionable. Like that's something that I am 100% adamant about. And so I've been working with different companies, organizations, colleges, and universities over the last 12 years. And then even prior to that, going all the way back to the good early 2000s, starting businesses that I felt like were necessary in the community to solve a problem. So this year, our company, Give It to the People, we come up with a theme every year. And our theme this year was Be in the Ecosystem. And in order for us to do that, then what we needed to do was we needed to understand that there were partners that we needed to bring into what we do, because we don't do this work alone. And I've always been a person that's a proponent of, it doesn't just have to be me. I don't have to be, the number one, but I can also help other people with what they're looking to do as far as growing their business or working with their organization. And we can all do it together. It doesn't just have to be, one or the other. So with that, what we decided to do this year was to do this particular summit so that this way it would celebrate Financial Literacy Month. And April is Financial Literacy Month. And so with that comes the opportunity to be able to help you do what we do at Give It to People, which is get your mind right and your money right. And how do you do that? You get the resources that you need so you can be successful. And a lot of times with small businesses and even people that are in the ecosystem who are providing services, you may not know what's happening a county over or 3-4 counties over. So in North Carolina, we have 100 counties, and that covers a lot. North Carolina is one of those states that it's not necessarily just completely unique, because there are other states similar to this, but we have mountains, okay? We have also the beaches, all right? We have inland. We get all the weather in 1 week, okay? So if you've never been to North Carolina and got abused by the weather, it might be 40 degrees in the morning and 80 degrees in the evening. You never know. It might be a thunderstorm, and then the next day it might be snowing. That's what North Carolina does. And so I just want to make you aware of that. If you ever came to live in this state, these are some things that you expect. But one thing I can say about everybody in North Carolina is we learn to adapt to this, and we make sure that we are resourceful. So that might mean layering your clothes, right? But when we talk about business, you also need to layer your business resources. And that's what we're here to do for you today. So our company, Give It to the People, is myself and my husband, Montrell Brown, and I'm Chisa Penix Brown. And we do conferences. We curate them across the state. We also do training, technical assistance, and we work to be ecosystem builders ourselves, but also with other people like states and cities, municipalities, counties that are also building the ecosystems. And so throughout North Carolina is very diverse. A good majority of the state is rural. And so that means that there may be a lack of resources in one place, whereas if you're where I'm located, which is in Durham, North Carolina, it's going to be probably too many resources in certain times, right? Too many events to go to, but that's not always the case all over the state. The thing is, though, that I say all the time is that even though we have all of these resources, sometimes people are not actually being collaborative. And so to me, being in the ecosystem means that you will collaborate, and means that you do try to put that forward so that this way we're not having so many events on the same date. But instead of us doing something by ourselves, we can involve 10, 20 of our resource partners, and we can then create something together that is even more powerful than if we tried to do it single-handed. So the one thing about us is also in January, we started a business membership called the Give It, Get It Business Membership. And it is for anybody that wants to join who has a business. Our preference, of course, is established businesses because the resources and tools that we're able to give on a monthly basis definitely help you to build on what you already have. Even if you're a brand new business, you can still join. And we have a free version and we have a paid version that offers a little bit more in there and gives you discounts, lets you speak at events, all of those kind of things. So if you're interested in getting seen and heard and you want people to be able to really understand what your business does, but you also want to get those resources in one place, this is something that I would love for you to be able to think about joining. So the question would be, well, what are we here for today, Chisa? Guess what? We have a purpose. So it is kind of like a fourfold purpose. We want to build awareness of some of the ecosystem partners that you might not know. And the reason you might not know them is because they're not necessarily in your area. So we compiled a list of amazing, beautiful, wonderful people from around the state, which then you can see, how they can help you specifically. And of course, a lot of people are based on where they're located, their city, but that doesn't mean that they still couldn't be great references for you. And it also doesn't mean that you can't travel to them, because if you see that they're doing some great things, it's worth you getting in the car, getting on the train, and taking a trip to go to some of the events and things that some of our resource partners are hosting. The second thing is to foster the collaboration, like we said, and to really build those communities. So when we talk about ecosystems, you have to have a lot of people that do a lot of different things. You don't have to do all the things though. So if you find somebody that does one thing that you don't do, then that continues to make this ecosystem stronger. And then we communicate and we're able to then do the next part, which is share our resources. And when I say provide actionable strategies, so there may be something, and two of our people are on now, and I'll show them to you in a couple of minutes, but that is happening in Charlotte that you need to know about. And you're just like, wow, that's not happening in my area. So I should travel down to Charlotte to find that. There's some stuff that's definitely going to be happening in the Alamance County area. And we're going to talk about that as well. So that this way you can just really get a little bit better at doing business, right? And then we also want to inspire that collective action. So the thing is, if you don't take action, you could listen to this and say, oh, this was wonderful. The people were great. The speakers were great. That little chocolate faced girl, Chisa, she was marvelous, but you don't take any action. So your goal should be to share this with people. So what I want to encourage is everybody that's on live now to do a couple of things. I want you to go ahead and type into the chat and let us know what made you come today and what city and state you're located in. Okay. So city and state and what made you come out today. And then I also want you to take the initiative to share this with somebody else. Because if you're watching us live, that means you're on YouTube. And that means that you have the ability to share it on any of your social platforms, because we're going from 10 to 2. So you have enough time to be able to let people know what's happening so that you can then start to foster that whole collaboration and share and be about collective action. So if you guys can do that for me, that would be a great start to this. And I would greatly appreciate that. Now, now, one thing that I usually do, I have a tambourine. Her name is Tammy. Tammy is taking a vacation right now, but she brought her little sister out here. So this is little Tammy. And we always go through, because Tammy's our executive assistant. And when people are saying great things, we want to shake the tambourine. We want to keep people on a high vibration. And so today we're going to do a smaller version tambourine. So if you guys know about Tammy, she has already sent her replacement for today. So this is what we'll be talking about. And this is our lovely panel of speakers. And so they're going to be varied throughout the day. But our first set of speakers is going to be Miss Felicia Lewis, and it's going to be Ms. Ednethia Thomas. So I want to welcome them both to the stage. And I want to say hi to you ladies. How are you doing?
Hi. Good. Hi. How are you?
Wonderful. So Felicia, if you can go in and you can introduce yourself, let us know who you are and who you're representing today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Felicia Lewis, and I am the Small Business Center Director for Alamance Community College. And that's who I am representing today as a resource partner.
Ednethia.
Awesome. My name is Ednethia Thomas, the Bridge Builder. I am the Vice President of Community Outreach and Client Services for SCORE Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me just ask this question, because I did not introduce anybody to each other in advance. Did you two know each other prior to coming here today?
No.
No. Okay, so good. So you'll get to meet each other. Now, this is the thing. I'm going to tell you, I always like to introduce people in a certain way. So, Felicia, this is 2 years now. Is it 2 years or 3 years?
2.5
Two and a half. Okay,
officially.
because I'm like, I know we should be getting close to three.
Yep.
So Felicia took over, and prior to her was Irvin Allen, who I will work with for years as a director at the SBC at Alamance County. And the thing is, she came in, and let me tell you, the first day that I walked into her office, she had this big, gigantic whiteboard, guys, and she had the year written out, and she had goals and things that she wanted to achieve. And I was like, this is my type of chick. Like, yes, I knew we were going to hit it off because I'm like, I am such a visual learner and I love to plan like that because I have to get it out of my head. And then when we started talking, we created so much good stuff there at Alamance. And so with that, I just want to know, like, when you talk about building ecosystems and being in the ecosystem, what is your version of that, Felicia?
Being present, showing up for others, knowing what it is that you do and what you offer and bring to the table before you ever get started. So that once you're in the room, you can actually serve in the right capacities. And that's what we're here to do. So our goal is to make sure that you're not only empowered in what you want to do, but know how you can get it done. And so part of being in that ecosystem means that we're all in. We're in it with you. We're in it to support you. We're in it to provide you with things and people and places that will help you win.
I love that. Now, Anithia, let me tell you something. I have never met her in person, but one of my friends, Tosh Comer, was doing this whole ecosystem thing, right? And it was a company that has now kind of shut down from what they were doing. So we're not going to say names, right? But what she was doing was something that I loved because it was such a dynamic thing. And so in kind of honoring Tosh and I had a discussion and I was like, okay, well, once this goes away, we can't just be, separate anymore, right? Like we need to still be able to communicate and share what's going on in our ecosystems. And so we would have a monthly meeting and it would be different areas around the state where people would be able to come on and talk about their activities. Now I can say we still do that here in Durham. There's a version of that in Greensboro that I've been involved with for like the last 10 years. And I'm sure you have a version of that in Charlotte, and so we're able to still communicate as ecosystem partners. And Anithia, she was talking and I was like, oh, I like her. I mean, she just had the fire and the energy. And so I said, listen, I'm going to work with her one day. And we're still coming to Charlotte just to do some stuff. But what I loved was, and I mean, this is not just being like cocky or anything like that. You reminded me of me. And the reason I say that is because I was in our SCORE chapter in Greensboro. And when we were there and putting on the programs and doing the marketing, that chapter ended up being #1 in the state that year, right? So then when I saw you and I'm just like, yes. And I'm like, that drive and that energy and I'm going to use the D word, the diversity that you bring to the table and your perspective is unique because a lot of times with SCORE, it is typically what people see is retired or older white gentlemen, which is nothing wrong with that, but that's not everybody's experience. So with you, what is your version of being an ecosystem?
Well, Chisa, my, I mean, you know how to edify, girl. I'm loving this. Thank you. I think without saying what Felicia said, because she was spot on. I think that a big part of it is also understanding what things are going to look like together. Thinking beyond right now, thinking beyond what my needs are, thinking beyond what I'm hearing you say your needs are. How can we make a beautiful surprise together? So one of the benefits of being a collaborator is being able to see in the future. You got to have some superpowers. You got to have a higher being than yourself. You got to be able to really tap in to what your sweet spot is and say, hey, I know that we can probably do something beautiful together. You just said that, right? And it was 2 or 3 years ago that we met virtually, but here we are today, and this is beautiful. And this is a surprise to me, right? So you have to be able to see into the future to say, I'm not sure what it is, but you have something great. I have something great. We're not in competition with one another, but I believe that together we can do something extremely powerful. So an ecosystem is basically saying, hey, I'm willing to give up control of some things in my world to share space with you and lift you up a little bit higher so that we can let other people know what we can do powerfully together.
Okay, so hold up. Let me just tell you something. You said one word in there that I want people, if they missed it, get the tambourine back out. The one word that you said that I don't think enough people really understand was you said control. So part of really truly being an ecosystem is understanding that, listen, there may be some things, and I always tell people when we curate events, when it's time for me to be main character energy, you're going to get main character energy. And if it's my event, you're going to get 110% me. Not that you won't get that if I'm curating for somebody else, but when I'm doing stuff for other people, it is their time to shine and my job to make sure that they shine, right? And so in that, I have to say, well, I can control my attitude. I can control how I show up in the room, but I don't need to control the entire situation, right? Yeah. And I don't want this to go awry because you just touched my spirit with that one. But in dealing with people who don't understand that and who do want to be in control, a lot of times the control is the thing that makes people not want to work with you. And so I just want people to understand that you can be great at things, but you can't always be in control of everything. And so we've experienced that previously where, you know, you invite people to the table and because they weren't the first person you invited to the table, there's a problem. And it's just like, you know, but everybody got invited to the table at the same time or because they didn't get a personal invite. And it's like, but we send an email out to everybody, right? And so everybody gets the opportunity to participate when you understand that it's about the whole and everybody gets something and not just one person or one organization. And so to me, that was a powerful thing that you said there. Now I'm going to bring on another person because I'm telling you, the ecosystem is so marvelous. So we also have LaShawn Harley over here. And so LaShawn, I want you to introduce yourself and then I'll go ahead and she said, I'm good at edifying. I'm gonna do some edification for you today. And then we'll ask you a question.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. My name is LaShawn Harley. I am the lead igniter, and I do that with Being and Becoming, which I work with clients and helping visionaries and forward thinkers create an action plan, combining their vision and purpose. And I focus on those who feel they've been unheard, unserved, mismanaged, and not recognized for their ideas and purpose. And then with LH Companies, I work with businesses, organizations, and educational institutions to expand their workforce and economic development using those same tools and resources because we are our business. And I just want to say the ecosystem is so important. And I heard what was said and understanding of the ecosystem. I got to put this plug in because I appreciate Chisa. She knows I'm at a celebration for my spiritual mother 80th birthday. And it's a whole weekend of events that I'm involved with. So we are working together in the ecosystem. I'm carving out time. I got here yesterday. We've been working several months to do this. So that's one of the things when Ms. Thomas was saying about working and getting things together. I do want to say to people, that's also understanding your ecosystem and making sure it's a win-win for everybody else and not taking charge. It's not about just you getting what you need. It's also you understanding what other people need. So Chisa understood where I needed to be, and I understood the importance of the ecosystem. So we work together, and this is how. And I'm saying that, which is why I'm coming in when I'm coming in, and why my background is the way it is, because I'm where one of the location is. But I did want to say that it's about that win-win and understanding. It's not just about your vision; it's about incorporating everybody's vision into what's going on, which is just a follow-up to what Ms. Thomas said. And I had to say that because I didn't want to lose that thought, to let people know that's what it means to be in an ecosystem.
All right. Well, see, I love that. Now, I'm just going to tell you what some of our viewers said. So we have Next to Native Languages on in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they offer language-based workforce development. And they said they'd love to work with us too. Camille is in Arlington, Virginia. She said she came to hear her friend and accountant, Anithia Thomas. Okay. So thank you, Camille, for joining us. Duran, he said he's at Duran Davis the Tailored. And then we have Imagine That Studio, which is in Burlington, North Carolina. We have a Charlotte, North Carolina. Mary Young is in Warrenton, North Carolina. She's an educational consultant. And then we have Renita Webb, and she said leadership strategist here. And she said, thank you for having the most fabulous event. You are so welcome. Quintonia Thorpe is here with Prestige Money Managers in Durham, North Carolina, which is a boutique accounting firm providing bookkeeping and accounting services. And so, yes, thank you guys for joining us live. And I know we have more people that are on live too. Feel free, if you want to go ahead and type in the comments. Let us know what city and state you're in and what made you join us today. And if you do have any questions throughout this, go ahead and type those in as well. Judith Alston is here from Green Thumb Academy. She is an agri specialist in education. And so we have a lot of great people that are on today. I love it. All right. And then Renita's in Elon, North Carolina today, which that's my alma mater. Yay, go Elon. All right. So I'm going to switch up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ladies off so we can all see the screen. And then I'm going to bring them back on. Okay. So hold on, ladies. Stay there. And this is what we're going to do. So when we talk about the ecosystem, I just want you to understand what is going on so that this way you have a clear understanding of that. And let me see if I can make this even a little bit bigger, but I don't know. This might be the biggest that I can make it if I do that. There we go. So in early 2025, which we are technically still in early 2025 since it's only month 4, the Trump administration implemented a series of executive orders that led to the removal or modification of numerous terms across federal agencies. So the thing is, this is not us getting political. This is us just telling you what is happening factually. Now, in that, what happened is that this specifically affected the federal government and the agencies that are a part of it, but then that trickled down to things like us in the states. And so this was saying that we're going to remove certain language that is not to be utilized because they felt like it was a certain type of ideology that it aligned with and was not a part of where this administration is going. Now, I don't know if anybody else in history has ever banned words. So this is a unique thing, but I would like to say, let me move this so you can screenshot. What I did was I have this list. Now, when I printed this list out, it came out to 8 pages. Okay. Now, mind you, 8 pages because of the font size and everything, but 8 pages of banned words. And if you want to download the words, then I put a QR code there so that you can you can go ahead and check out the banned words. And I'm going to tell you why this is important, because one of the things that I would say for most of the people that are on this particular live stream with us today, and more than likely the businesses that are watching, diversity, equity, inclusion is something that has followed a lot of us and something that we've used continuously in our words in order to be diverse, equitable, and inclusive, which by themselves does not seem like a bad thing until you start to say, why are things changing, right? Things that have to do with climate change, anything that has to do with the LGBT plus community, okay? Any websites mentioning any of these things, you need to make sure that you take inventory just in case, right? And then anything that has to do with systematic racism and social justice. So I'm gonna read you a couple of the words. I cannot go through this whole entire list, but the word accessible. How crazy is that? Because people do need to access things, right? And so if you are disabled and you need access to get into something, accessible is one of those words. Advocacy. Now, I would posit that most of us are advocating for education or people to come to our workshops, people to know what's going on in the community. All inclusive, okay? And I told you I'm not going to read all of them, but even the word bias is in this list. When we talk about things like cultural heritage, cultural differences, competence, that's in the list. And then when we look at things like a word like diverse itself is on the list, diverse, and disparity is on the list. And guess what? There's always going to be a disparity if somebody has more and somebody has less, right? So I just wanted you to see these types of things are on this list. And if you feel like you want to go through the list, it is there for you to be able to download. But the question would be, okay, so now that these things are on the list, then as a small business or as a business provider, I'm sure you're looking like this right now, right? I'm sure you're feeling like, oh my God, what is this? So our role is to make sure that hopefully we don't lose any funding. Hopefully we are not going to be sued for having certain words on our site. So what we can do is we can make those adjustments, okay? So what I want to do is I want to pull everybody back on, and I want to see just with some of the words, tell us any changes that maybe you've had to make in the things that you are doing or in the language on your website or how you're interacting with clients in order to avoid anything that would, in this new view of what's going on, kind of keep you out of compliance. So whoever wants to go first, let me know.
Well, I'll go first. Yeah, so I'll go first. In the fact, man, that's why I said what I said.
Hold on, your sound is going out a little bit. Say it again. Try again.
Sure.
Oh, you just having. Yeah, it's just a little scratchy. It's like the Matrix people came in because we were talking about this, and then they decided to scratch you up a little bit. Try again.
Yeah, because I haven't moved or done anything. Can you hear me now better?
Yeah, it's just a little scratchy, but we got you.
Okay, so that's why I use the words that I used even before this administration came in of unserved, unheard, mismanaged, because those fit all of the groups. And I am going to bring up one of the words that folks need to be conscious of, because a lot of people are shocked that mental health is on there. So I've had to work with a lot of clients and a lot of people because people have been leaning into mental health. But what I did is I also tell people, look at the words that they call acceptable. So I look at the words that Trump is using, why not to do it. They still fit the groups that we're working with. They just use it in a different way. So the thing is that some people are saying, well, they're trying to curb who I'm going to serve and things. No, you use their terminology to describe who you're working with, because their terminology is broad enough that you can go later on in what you're saying and to say who you're working with. So I don't want people to get so caught up in the battle they lose the war. Yes, there is a battle that people are talking about, the freedom of speech, but the war is the bigger thing of making sure we serve the people that we plan to serve and do it with quality and getting the resources that is duly allowable and should be sent to them, and do it and make it along those lines.
I like that. Okay.
One of the things that came to mind quickly was when everything kind of unveiled. At SCORE, we had to start to not say certain things, obviously, very quickly. We couldn't do certain things. We couldn't necessarily associate ourselves with certain organizations that led into DEI and things of that nature. Yes, I know, quite a shocker. But what I did, and a lot of people, especially the women, said, I'm out, I'm quitting. This is not for me. We're going to shift. What I said was, no, I'm going to lean in and we're going to do this a different way, right? Mm-hmm. So you just become creative. So if we couldn't talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or if we couldn't talk about minorities, or if we couldn't talk about women-owned businesses, or if we couldn't sponsor things that were specific to a certain type of genre, then I said, okay, well, we won't call it that, but we will invite them in. And we won't say that that's what we're doing, but this is what we're doing, right? Because when you do it that way, it's just like LaShawn said, you are playing within their rules. You're staying within the confines. You're not being, blatantly disobedient, if you will, but you're still serving a purpose and you're still meeting the needs of the small business community. And you're still showing people, because again, it's all educational. We're showing people how to do it the right way or a different way, because this is all new to all of us, right? But you just have to lean into your own creative juices and make sure that you are compliant with what it is that they are mandating. So just play within the rules.
And Felicia, yours might be a little bit different too, because if you guys can see in the background, this will be our third year coming up. We've been doing a Women and Minority Business Summit. And so our next one is coming up on June 19th. You're all invited. It's 100% free and registration is up. I'll put it in the chat. And so when we discussed this year, I was like, well, do we need to change the name? And so as you can see, she's got it up. So Felicia, what's been your take on it, dealing with it from being in the community college system, but also within the constraints of the Small Business Center Network?
Yeah. So first and foremost, we serve everyone. Absolutely everyone. And I'm actually going to go back a little bit in my own career. A few years ago, before I came into the Small Business Center, I was actually with Workforce Development. And being in that arena, one of the things that I often had to counsel employers on, and this was large employers, new companies that were moving into our area, into our communities, that we have to be all inclusive in how we position things, that our jobs, when we put them out there to the forefront. One of the things that we have to do is acknowledge that it is open to all, because by virtue of the way that people write job descriptions, sometimes it excludes other people. And it didn't even matter, it could exclude me just by virtue of it saying a type of job. So if it was a dirty job, maybe women didn't think that it was okay to go into dirty jobs, or if it was something in a warehouse or in production and that type of thing, but they had to learn how to say it differently even then. So this concept or construct, if you would, is not new. It just has evolved. And I think that is one of the things that we have to be cognizant of in our lifetimes, in our generation, as times roll along. We have to be able to evolve to achieve the things that we want to, and help everyone who is intended, that needs the help. So I appreciate one of the things that, yes, I did ask. I was like, do I need to change anything as we came into this? Because I said, I don't want to be the one that broke it. Let's just be real. But in spite of everything, because we are hosting this, and this also is a part of those letters that went out, it is in conjunction with Juneteenth, and it is talking about the freedom to do business. And it's not just freedom for women and minorities to do business, but it is freedom for all of us to do business. And so we don't just serve women and minority populations at the Small Business Center. We serve everyone, and we serve veterans. So we appreciate all that everyone has an opportunity to offer here. So we do thank, Chisa, for bringing that to our attention, and making sure that we are serving, and we're still in that arena to serve others. So that's why we're all in.
Yes, and I love that. And so I see Imagine That Studio says they have already signed up for the summit. I put the link in there. So that is excellent. And one of the things is that, like she said, we don't try to exclude anybody. What we've done historically is we've tried to focus on a particular group, because that group may need more of something, or has maybe doesn't have as many resources. So therefore, then we transition to our alternative words. So if I said, well, listen, this is going to be the Women and Minority Business Summit, and if she would have said, well, look, we can't do that this year, then I would have just been like, okay, we still could serve those people the same way Anithia said and LaShawn said, and work within the constraints of that. But it is still who's going to show up, right? And so if I know that historically and continually that our population that comes to our things is primarily Black and primarily women, then that is who comes to us, right? And so for years, it has always said that we serve women and BIPOC entrepreneurs. But those things could still be some of these alternative words. So I want you guys to take a screenshot or write these down. And so even in saying that, we could say underserved populations, right? When you look at this and you start to look at some of the other things, and I know accessible was on one of those, was one of the ones on the list, but just let's understand women was on the list also. So like it just seems counterproductive to create a list as if these things are not there, right? And so those things can definitely make a difference, and you definitely want to be able to still tell people, like, this is the reason that you should come out. So let me give you some tips. One of the things that you could do is visual representations oftentimes can be stronger than the words that are there. So if you see that when you're marketing, and I'm marketing to women, right? If this is my goal, then I put a lot of different women on the graphics, okay? If I want it to be a lot more diverse and multicultural, then the graphics that we put out represent those different people. And so, like, let's say we're trying to reach out to a population that is Muslim. I'm probably going to show a woman that's in a hijab, right? Because then the thing is, I don't have to say it, but you see it, right? So I want us to take into consideration that we can definitely use some different words that are there, but it's also in the representation that people see, which allows them to understand what you're doing. So this is one thing I would love for everybody to do if you haven't already done it. make sure that this year you take some new headshots and you also take some new pictures with the type of clientele that you want to attract, because oftentimes that will help people say, oh, well, I think I should be a part of that. And so we've been really conscious specifically this year of taking pictures even more so of the crowd, of the type of people that come out, because then you can see yourself inside of that audience. And one thing that I would say is, if you notice, like, a lot of times when people are a certain race or ethnicity, which those are words that you can't use anymore, right? The people that are there, as far as the panelists, look like those people, right? Oftentimes we've always made it a point to try to see different ages, different race, and different genders in who we have that are speaking. Now, it just so happens that this first panel just happens to be a whole bunch of beautiful Black women, but I mean, what can I say? That's just what it is. And I think that, you have to take that into consideration, but that's not what's going to be throughout the whole rest of the day either. So when you start to look at it, it is who you associate with. And it is, if you want to, reaching out to other people. So let me go to our next slide, and then I'm going to get them to kind of answer some questions. So when we talk about kind of putting in action, if you are a service provider, these are things that you can think about when you talk about outreach and matchmaking and who you're trying to put together. If you're talking about procurement and those kind of contracts that you're looking to get, so look at those things inside of procurement. If you're talking about getting access to capital, that's the word that, and the phrase that to me is the most overused. But at the same time, that is one of the things, is people want to get, money. That's just it, right? But mentoring, mentor, protege, technical assistance, and instead of just having to say it's a specific target, you could just say small business program. So one of the things that I've been engaged in has been Minority Enterprise Development Week. And last night I'm having a discussion with the person from the city, and I'm asking them, I'm saying, well, is Med Week going to be the thing going forward? Like, are you guys even going to be able to use that? And in asking that, it is specifically the language that's been used before, but does that need to change? And so those are some things that people are just kind of looking over. But I want to ask each of you, like, when you're talking about, looking at what's going forward, if there are any changes that you're going to make, then how are you trying to help people, your business owners, in order for them to be able to kind of go through this transition? Even if the words weren't in alignment, there are still other things that are transitioning. So how are you helping them, go through the transition and still be collaborative with, other organizations? So I'm going to start with Anithia.
So what I do is very strategic. So for example, in 2 weeks, we are bringing together all of the banks in the Charlotte area. It's the banking capital of the country, right? So we're saying, listen, there are small businesses who need certain things. We're not pointing out that they're minority. We're not pointing out that they're women, but we're letting them know that there is a huge gap in the services that are rendered to some small businesses, right? But we're bringing them all together, and we're showing them how to collaborate. We're showing them how to work together. We're showing them how to form an ecosystem within banking. We're teaching bankers how to do that, right? And then once we do that, and we, as in the county, Mecklenburg County, and SCORE. And so from there, we're able to invite the small businesses in and say, hey, we've had this conversation with the bankers, and now we are presenting you with the opportunity to sit down face to face with them and take it a step further. So what that does is it shows people how to take knowingly competitive industries or companies or organizations and bring them together, and then give them the opportunity to present themselves as a collective front. We're doing it with banks because it's something that all of us need. It's something that everybody can benefit from. However, it's just the start or the beginning of how we can do that as a collective with business resources, with other types of things that need to happen within this ecosystem. So how do you do that? You do that by just this is the action, right? You just make it happen. You invite them into the room, have the conversation, be candid, and then give them the tools that they need to be more productive. And you do it in such a way that it's gentle, but you're getting right to the gut. We're in the country, right? So you get right to the gut of it, and then you go ahead and make sure that they have steps to take. Give them the action steps then to take after that as well. So you lead by example.
Now, when is the date of that event? And can you drop it into the chat for us? Because people, or into the comment section. When is that?
Yes, it's actually going to be on May 19th in Charlotte. And I'll put it here, and then I can drop it onto the YouTube. So yeah.
And what time? Do you know what time it is?
It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's going to be in person.
Okay. I love that. Because
so
I'm looking at the schedule now.
Yep. As soon as we have it, I can have the link, the Eventbrite. Then I can shoot that over to you, and we can spread that to the ecosystem.
Oh, that sounds perfect. First of all, I'm going to have to move somebody off my calendar because I'm going to come. Look, that's why I was like, May 19th. It sounds like I may have something to do. But you said it starts at 10 a.m. and ends at
2.
At 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going to see what's going to go on with that schedule, but we may have to move somebody off the schedule because we need to be in Charlotte, and then I can meet you in person. Yes.
I feel like we have, though, met in person, but that's a sidebar.
Have we? No, I don't think so.
In Memphis? No? Okay, maybe not.
Never been. Nope. Never.
You give good old sister girl energy vibes. I mean, I just feel like I've known you forever.
Well, I love that, but no, I haven't been to any of them. That's why I said no, and that's going to give me a good time because I needed to come to Charlotte anyway. And it's somebody. Oh yeah, that's going to be perfect. That's going to happen. Okay, Felicia, I'm gonna go to you next.
So as far as making sure that we are empowering people to do the things that they need to do, one is that we have started to work with people about how they actually engage cross-culturally, making sure that you understand that different communities speak a different language at times. And sometimes we need to blend our cultures, our methodologies, and get to know one another. So one of the things that I'm very proud of us doing, even back in November, was our 2-day, we did a 2-day summit that was all around dual languages and bringing together people in a format that offered classes in both languages and in simulcasted interpretation at the same time. So we had a great 2-day event, and it was empowering to the people who were there because and I mean, it was everyone, but we had people from 4 different continents in the space. And so that was a great opportunity to collaborate and show that we are working together. And it was people of all races, all faiths, all communities that were represented from right here in Alamance County. We are kind of that hub that people pass through quite a bit, but now people are latching on a little bit because it's the least populous of the triad and triangle, that little connector there. So we're getting a lot of people here who now want to live, work, and play in this area. And so that is one of the reasons that we're trying to do that and make sure that they have the capacity to serve. So it doesn't matter that we don't speak each other's languages at times, as long as we understand that we have a heart to go after the market that we want to be a part of. And that's one of the ways that we're doing that.
Well, I like the fact that you even have that available because like with certain areas, they don't have that capacity to be able to pay for that or to do that. And so that's a good thing. But we were working with City of Durham last year, and there were a lot of people in there. So I want to throw this out there to kind of just as another communication tool. So with in that particular event, we had translators. And so I had the thing in my ear so I could hear. And then they had in their ears so they could understand in Spanish. And so that was a good thing. But other countries, for one, communicate differently. And so I know LaShawn, I'm gonna let her chime in on this. WhatsApp has been a biggest contributor to specifically the Hispanic community in them being able to get the message out. So whereas a lot of us may focus on social media or checking the emails, they'll use WhatsApp and text more. So if you want to broaden your horizons and you want to reach into that community, that may be an option for you. The other thing that I tell people is, please stop acting like your phone doesn't have a translator on it. Like, I mean, you know, you can use Google Translate. So like, I have a lot of different people that I deal with. And so, you know, me just saying, okay, go to the translator and I say the words, they see it come up on the screen in their language. They say words back to me. I see it come up on the screen in my language. And then now I understand and they understand, and then we can communicate. And so I don't want people to consistently use they speak another language as an excuse to not reach out to other communities, because that is not really that big of an issue when you have a cell phone that can translate. And so mine automatically has a translator inside of it because Samsung, okay, go, Samsung is the best. But they need to go ahead and cut a check too, because I could go ahead and use that sponsorship. Go Samsung. So between that, but the other thing is, even if you didn't have that, you can go to Google and get a translator and you can listen to it. You can buy a translator with multiple languages on Amazon, you know what I mean? So you can listen in real time yourself if you wanted to more so listen to it. And then now they also have those glasses, like the Meta glasses, which I do believe can translate in some languages. So there are other options. And that's also as far as us with accessibility, with Give It to the People, with our Give It, Get It business membership, you can translate our website into 100 different languages. So you don't have to feel like you can't contribute, because if we send things out, it will then translate it for you in your language. But LaShawn, I want to let you just jump in with that about some of the things that you're doing, but specifically if you want to touch on the WhatsApp, because I know you do a lot of things in Africa too. And so just how that's been a dynamic change in being able to also build that community. And you're on mute. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a few things. I want to piggyback off for you, and then I'll go into the other pieces. But what was said earlier about the ecosystem, I want people not to forget their clients is part of their ecosystem. One of the biggest things for businesses is they don't want to talk to their customers. And I say that because and my people who are going to see this said, you didn't say anything about this, so I'm saying this part. Be careful with the translators. Because in like the Spanish, most of them are going to be Spain, and depending on your customer base, they're gonna look at you like, what? And just real quickly, what I mean by that is, I had a young lady who went to the Universidad de Honduras, which is the University of Honduras, and she was going to law school. And I happened to be involved with legal aid, and we had people from 4 Spanish countries. And I said, I'll get them to translate it. One was Puerto Rican. She was like, what? Another one was from, she was of Spain, and she said, all those words shouldn't be together. Another was Cuban, and the Ecuadorian was able to translate it. And they were like, how did you know that? She said, I have friends who are Honduran. Notice it wasn't because she was Ecuadorian. It was because she had friends who were Hondurans. That's how she knew the words coming together. So part of this ecosystem is getting out to your customers and talking to your customers. People don't want you talking at them. They want you talking with them. And that's the biggest thing that can overcome all this stuff about the ecosystem, about the words. Because the main thing is I let people know those are labels. Minority is a label. Women is a label. But still saying the same thing and working with people with that. So talking about, for example, those people who tend to have a hard time getting a loan, it's the same thing as those who have problems accessing capital. So and then that takes the onus also on us who are the customers. We can't be looking for the microbyte to tell us what's going on. Those are general words and going into more detail, but you get the more detail of the words from the customers. So one of the things is that all this is changing and the words are changing, or what can and cannot use. The customers also know the words about them are changing. So even this time more than ever is telling folks, get out and talk to your customers. What are the words that gravitate them? What are the words that pull them? So just recently, last week, and we're putting it in place for May and June, folks have said, well, I need to know how to change I'm talking about my business model and talking within my business plan, strategic plans. So throughout the months of May and June, and I'll be giving the chiefs of the information plus a little discount for her people. We're going to do the model. We're going to look at those different canvases. And people choose whichever one they want. And we're going to be working with people on their business plan. And this is not, we're speaking at you. We're setting up time. And this will start the second Tuesday in June, one session during the day, one in the evening, and it will go for 8 weeks, where we will have you all utilizing, writing your own plan during that time. That's the catch. And that's where we're different at. A lot of people speak to people about it. No, this is where you're going to be spoken to for about 20 to 30 minutes. But the goal is to get you to write on that plan, right on that model, which is the key problem that a lot of people are having, because even though we're telling them and we're giving them a lot of information, it's about them putting it into action afterwards. And then through Give It, Get It, we're going to also be doing some different things. And most of the folks that you're going to see during this week, we work with them. But the main thing is get out there and talk to the customers. Because customers a lot of times didn't want to be called minorities. What do they want to be called? Everybody who's part of Latin America doesn't want to be called Latinx. And then I want to go this last thing and understand diversity is not just by being diverse in another country. Diversity is also within the United States. South Carolina and North Carolina are totally different. If I said I want some red rice and you bring me Spanish rice, we're going to have a problem. Now, if you bring me jollof, I'll be okay, because that's similar to what red rice is in South Carolina. And then last, because I don't want to leave out very quickly about WhatsApp. If you say you're on WhatsApp, you'll be amazed at how many people eyes brighten up. You know WhatsApp, I haven't even advertised anything yet, but just say I'm there and they go and see that I am on WhatsApp. I have, I'm not just on there, but I have a status that's on there, shows that I work it. That means that you're open to my community. That alone speaks volume. But WhatsApp is always and constantly improving. It was created by a company out of India. It is now part of the Facebook group also. So anybody in another country, as soon as you say that you're on WhatsApp, they're like, oh, you're my kind of people. Because even though there's cell signals that can, and some people say, but I use my cell phone there, it doesn't go to all the community. WhatsApp goes throughout all the communities in most of those different areas, even the hard to get areas. So that means that you're open and you already speak that you're inclusive, you're diverse, you're equitable just by saying you're on WhatsApp. And it's free.
I love that. And so we're going to expand into that probably within the next month, just because if you're saying that you want to reach people, you have to, take that into consideration. And just because a person speaks a different language doesn't mean that they couldn't use your service or your product. And so let me just tell you what our guests are saying, our people that are watching. Mary said red rice. Yes. Okay. So then next to native language said that you're 100% correct. Spanish is different in different countries. Words have literally different meanings, just like New York, English terms and slang. Because see, if you're from New York, like I'm from New York, you good means a lot of different things, just depending upon which the tone is that you put on there. So like, when I say, are you good? But then like, if we have a problem, it's like, you good? Because, you got to change up the tonality, right? So just take that into consideration. And we also have a comment that says when it comes to building relationships, the next step from translators is becoming culturally responsive so that an enduring relationship can be achieved. And so those are some things that I want you to think of. I also want you to know, if you would like to be a part of something that's coming up that's dynamic as well, the Durham Business Evolution Summit and Expo is going to be on May 6th. We do have some brand new things that'll be happening. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is one of the organizations that will be involved in there. We'll be talking about some exporting there, also different things with finances. And so I'm going to bring on one of the partners for that in a little bit, but I definitely just want to kind of prime you. So May 6th is that event is 100% free, and we are still looking for some exhibitors. So if you have May 6th available, and I'm going to say from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. There's also going to be a networking portion that is there from 5 to 7 p.m. And that is the Durham Business Evolution. Okay, hold up. Evolution Summit and Expo. And I will go ahead and put the link in the chat for that as well, so that this way, if you want to register for that. And so the thing is that I want you to understand is that we've given you a plethora of events, and we've been on here for less than an hour. We've been able to discuss a whole lot of different things that I think that are necessary for our businesses to grow. And I do want to highlight one of our guests that's on today, because he is heavily involved in building ecosystems. So Chuck Bird, he has a program that's called the Young Entrepreneurs Program in Winston-Salem. And we were, happy to do an event with him at the end of last year where we were specifically working with the Hispanic population. And so he has some things that he's doing with youth, but then also in trying to engage the Hispanic population. And one thing that he was adamant about saying is, don't think that people don't have money, right? Like the thing is, you're looking at a person from the outside looking in. And so you're sitting next to somebody who may be a millionaire, but because they don't speak the language or because there are differences and nuances to what they're doing, you don't know that, number one. But number two, that could be the client that you were looking for, and they may need that service that you have. And so one thing that I always like to think that my dad used to say was, you can't count anybody else's pocket but yours. And so for me, that was always a thing. I used to work at the bank at Bank of America, and I was a teller. This was years ago. And, the people that didn't look like they had the most amount of money had the most amount of money. Okay. When you open up the bank account, it was looking real big, but the people that came through looking real flashy were sitting over here trying to get a couple of dollars together. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to kind of look at, in business, you don't know what somebody has, but at the same time, we want to encourage everybody. And so a lot of times when you're talking about a population, because if they're not speaking English and we're not giving them things in English, then what happens is that they don't come, right? And so, we have to kind of look at that if we do want to be inclusive, but at the same time, we also have to understand, and I'm going to say this may ruffle some feathers. If that's not my native language, then there are people that is their native language. And that doesn't mean that they can't reach out also to be able to get some of these resources. But I do want to caution one thing specifically now. I was warned about this probably 2 years ago working in Halifax County. And one of the ladies that I had on a panel said, well, a lot of the reason the Hispanic population doesn't come is because where the community college is located, there's always a police person, presence, right? That is close to the college. So they don't feel comfortable coming into the college, right? Because you may have different situations that happen. And now when you see things where people are buying ICE t-shirts, right? And trying to scare people, there are things out there that is just like, well, would you want to come to something like that? And I would say that for most of us, right, if we're not in that population, we don't really pay attention to it that way until this year happened. And then now you notice it, right? And so there's always going to be somebody who has a problem with anybody. It could be that they just have a problem with women and we're the target. But I don't want that to keep us from being in the ecosystem. But that also means when you see opportunities like this for things that are online, to really kind of take advantage of them. So ladies, I want to let you each, I know everybody has given at least an hour today. If you do want to stay on, I'm more than happy to have you. But I do want to give each of you the opportunity to kind of say something really quickly. So if you have like a one word or one phrase that you want to leave people with about being in an ecosystem, then hit it. So Felicia, I'll let you go first.
Well, I'll say it this way. We are very quick to assign blame when something goes wrong. And we'll always raise that flag that says it didn't happen in a vacuum. But when it comes to taking credit, it often happens that we want to keep that to ourselves and we want the sole possession of that credit. So I would say, as we move through this process and into other platforms, that being a part of an ecosystem, we need to share some of those successes across the board, because it does not happen in a vacuum. Our successes or our troubles, nothing of that sort. So removing silos is going to be a big benefit as we move forward with each other.
Yes. And I want to tell you, LaShawn and I did a whole entire 1 hour live stream about that. And you can watch it on the YouTube channel. And I'll put that link inside the chat for you. And so, LaShawn, I'm going to let you go last because I have a present for you. Anithia.
Well, I'm just going to allow Fedicia's segue to come on over instead of operating in silos, enjoying and embracing the power of partnerships. I continue to speak on that because it's so important. But I'm going to go back to something I said in the beginning of this segment, and that is being vulnerable enough to give up some control. How do we find those people that we're willing to share space with, to share the stage with, to share spotlight with, and give up some control to elevate them a little bit higher, as Chisa has done so well, beautifully today. So I think that that's the best thing that we can do in this climate.
Thank you. All right, and LaShawn?
Well, I'm gonna use your background as a way of saying, but I want to say to folks, and I'll still stick around for a little while. But the thing about it is, when you operate in a silo, you all color all of yourself. You know, color does not shine until you get around other colors, and all the colors magnify each other. So if you operate in a silo, you are stagnant and you are there, and people tend to also just forget about you. But when you operate with others, you bring magic in the world together, because then each one shines when they need to shine. Because the most important colors we should be concerned about are green, meaning money coming in, gold, which means that we're going to grow it into a legacy to stay later, and black, because it means that it's going to be more money that's going to keep coming and you can operate, be sustainable. So those should be the colors that we worry about.
Okay, well, who knew you were going to preach today? Okay, well, listen, I love it. I was not ready for, the black green. I wasn't ready for it. I don't know about y'all, but I was not ready for that. Okay, so in this, to transition us from one thing to another, I decided to make some commercials. I'm not going to show this one first, and I'm hoping that we don't have any problems and you guys can hear this. So one thing that we're going to transition into as well is technology. And so AI has been a big part of what we're talking about in the ecosystem and keeping us connected, but also in allowing us to be able to just explore new technologies in order to market ourselves and just to possibly even create some of that clarity. So hopefully, I'm really hoping that this is going to work the way that I want it to. And if it does, then I want to introduce you to LaShawn Dahl. Okay.
An overwhelmed business owner stares at his mountain of ideas, feeling lost in the chaos. Seeking clarity, he decides to reach out to LaShawn Harley, a business coach known for her ability to untangle complex thoughts. As they sit together, LaShawn encourages him to share his struggles, creating a safe space for his thoughts. With her structured approach, she begins mapping out a plan to transform his chaotic ideas into actionable steps. With each passing moment, the business owner's anxiety transforms into excitement and hope. LaShawn illustrates a clear path for his ideas, showing him that clarity is within reach and growth is possible.
Okay. Did y'all like that? Did you hear it? Y'all don't know. So I'm just playing around and I was like, I want to make some videos. So now I have to give you the tool, right? Because that's what I do, right? I'm not going to gatekeep. So I said, well, I want to make some videos, and I've been playing around with ChatGPT in order to create cartoon versions of myself. So I made a Muppet version, a Family Guy version. I did a Pixar version. I've been playing around with them. Everybody's been loving them over the last week, right? And so I said, okay, let me make a LaShawn one. So I made her one the other day. This is not even the one she saw. And she was like, well, that's cute, but I would like it if it had the pearls on it, because LaShawn is going to tell you if she don't like something, right? So what I did was I took a picture of her and then I put it into the thing so it would give me a cute little version. So it gave me a little version of her. And then the app that I use to create that is called Video GPT. So I wanted you guys to see the Video GPT. Now, mind you, hers had some extra editing in there because I made her own person thing. So it's not going to give you exactly what you want probably the first time. But as business owners, if you want to save time and you want it to kind of create a script for you, or if you put your own script in there, you can definitely do that. That's one version where I chose the one that kind of looked like Pixar. But that's something that I just wanted to share with you. And so I always like to have people have a little surprise. And so I know she's got to go because she's doing this 80th birthday party thing. But I love the smile that is right there on their face. So what you guys think about LaShawn Dahl?
It's so cute. I want one. Right?
I have to make you one too. LaShawn, did you like her?
Yes, I did. And the thing is, I'm glad you did bring that up and going into that, because that's one part of the ecosystem people stay away from is technology. Mm-hmm. And Chisa will tell you this, and I'm going to say this. Chatty and I have discussions. And Chisa's like, really? Yeah, I talk to Chatty back and forth as though it's a human being. I know I do limit what I put with Chatty, and I tell Chatty some things because I want to make sure Chatty doesn't share it. So I have some terminology and stuff with Chatty. But I talk to Chatty just like as a human and a friend. In fact, she'll be on soon. We were talking. She created 2 flyers and everything while we were talking. I said, tell Chatty what you don't like. I even told Chatty, why didn't you tell me that before? And chat will talk you back. But don't forget Claude and Gemini also, because I use all three of them to do things. But I'm glad you did bring out the GPT, because so many people on here might be afraid of that. And that is part of the ecosystem that is not going away.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So before you go, I have our next guest that's going to be coming on. So I want you to be able to see this though before you go. So hold on, now I got to figure it out. Let me get back over here.
I'll stay around for a little while since you got all these little little surprises. I'll stay on.
I know, right? Okay, hold on. Let me get back over to here. Oh no, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. We should be here. Okay, so why is this not? Oh man, hold on for a second. I see what happened. Okay, let's get this up. And then this is going to transition us into our next hour for everybody that's on now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so are you ready to meet Latasha Doll?
Maria Thompson is a passionate entrepreneur on a quest for financial assistance to elevate her thriving business. With her dreams hanging in the balance, she seeks the mentorship of Latasha Best Gaddy, hoping to secure the funding that could transform her vision into reality. Latasha sits with Maria, listens to her needs for her innovative ideas, and devises a customized funding strategy to help Maria's business grow.
Okay, so that's Latasha Doll. Now, Latasha, you got to turn your computer on so we can put you on. Turn your screen on. Okay, her screen is not on yet. It's coming. Okay, there we go. So Latasha is our next guest. Latasha, did you like Latasha Doll?
I love Latasha Doll. I was over here cracking up. Okay, I just want y'all to know that.
Oh my God. If you see the original pictures and how good it actually did do the graphics, what I'm going to do later on today is I'll put out the original picture and then I'll show you the doll so that this way you guys can see it. And for LaShawn and Latasha, I'll go ahead and I will send you your babies, your new babies that you have. And Aditya and Felicia, if you need babies, I'll make you some babies too. So this way you have your own little heads. But this is the type of stuff that we're talking about when we talk about being in the ecosystem. And so for us, I think that, one of the big things, I love doing surprises. So my love language is gifting in different ways. So whether that's food or a new little baby doll that you have, or, just whatever it is, that's my love language. So I love to cook, make drinks and things like that, but sharing things for people with their business to help it grow, that's also a part of my love language. So Latasha, I want to let you introduce yourself. And let me just ask the question before I do that. Do either of you need to go? Okay, not a problem. So
I do need to start out.
No, I know some people were only here for the hour. So Adnithia, thank you so much for being on today. And before you go, can you put some contact information inside the chat for people in the comments so that this way, if they want to reach you, they can. And then everybody else, once this is over, I'm going to send out a resource guide so that everybody can know who was on and all of the rest of that. And then this way you can connect with everybody. And then somebody did ask the question of what was the name of the event that is going to be in May before you go.
Oh, it's called Beyond the Borrower. And okay. I just reached out to the team to get those details over so that I could drop that in the chat before the end of this segment today. So thank you.
Okay. No problem. And then what we'll do too is even if you just want to email it to me, we'll send it out. So this is why you guys need to join the membership. So you can go ahead and get those emails with all of that good information. And if you're on the membership, you can also add your own events in there. So Adnithia, if you want to join the membership, you can do the free version and then add that event to it. And then, people will be able to click and they'll be able to register right on over. But thank you so much for being on today. And I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right.
I'm going to have to hop off too. I was putting that out there. So y'all.
No, I kind of figured that. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate you. I will see you soon because June 19th, we're going to light it up in Alamance County.
Yes. See everybody soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right. So now we're down to 2. Okay. So Latasha, now let me tell you why this is so funny. So we have made a group of ourselves. I decided to call us LLC. So it's so appropriate for business. So those are the 2. Oh, well, I don't know how you guys are seeing it, but those are the 2 L's and I'm the C. So it's just so funny that worked out this way. And I am just happy to have you on this morning, you and Latasha Doll and LaShawn Doll. So tell us a little bit about Infinity Bridges and then just, we'll just jump in some questions.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. And hello, the LLC is together and live in effect. So I am the Latasha Bescatti of the L. I am the owner and chief strategist of Infinity Bridges, where we focus on building wealth through entrepreneurship. And we do that in three variety of ways through business advising, training, and entrepreneurship ecosystem building. And we cover the state of North Carolina, but also work in other states outside of North Carolina as well. Our primary target is working in partnership with government entities, nonprofit organizations, financial and educational institutions. So happy to be here and happy to talk about strategies to help you grow and expand your business,
Yeah.
and
Now,
especially funding strategies.
oh yes, and with you specifically, I'm playing around with the dynamics of this thing. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked them, which is, what does being the ecosystem mean to you?
So I love this question, and so one of the things it means to me is first is connecting people to resources, opportunity, and other people. So one of the things that when I think about be in the ecosystem is it's not just showing up, but it's also doing the work. And I'll give just a really quick example, because one of the things I say I do is entrepreneurship ecosystem building. And so one of those is bringing people together that may have some similarities, some differences, or maybe in different industries, but connecting them to either work together, to be able to leverage resources, or to be able to create a new venture together. And
Mhm.
so I call it where everybody gets to eat at the table.
Yes, and I love that because y'all know I like to eat for real. And when it comes to getting these dollars, we love to eat up the coins. So that is a one thing. And I think that the thing that people need to understand is that when you're eating an ecosystem, there is enough for everyone. And so I think that people that have a scarcity mindset don't really understand that, which is why, if anybody remembers from Looney Tunes, Daffy Duck, I always use this analogy. And Daffy Duck is like, mine, mine, right? And he gets shrunk down to this little teensy weensy version of himself. And it's this pearl, but now it's too big for him to even try to attack, right? And he wants it mine, but he's just not understanding that, you had the opportunity to kind of get at a certain level, but you wanted so much to just kind of be by yourself. And so when she was mentioning being in silos, as we talked about before, one of the things to me is like, listen, I don't really want to operate in a silo. I like to see what's going on all over the state. And I think that you've done a good job of being able to do that and work with other people. And so I want to know, what is a behind the scenes move that you've made that has created real impact?
Great question. So first and foremost, each year I kind of make a decision of to kind of grow and expand of who I want to work with. And so one of the things that I've done this year is be intentional about working with Give It to the People and the Give It Get It membership. And what I decided is I didn't just want to be a sponsor for one event here, another event there. I wanted to look at it from what does an annual sponsorship look like? And so that's for me being intentional. But now here's the impact that it makes to me. So, first and foremost, being able to now have a calendar of events that I know that I can share and showcase not only what Infinity Bridges does, but also some of the other upcoming events, some of the other community leaders. Again, going back to the membership, I can now post events online without even going to someone else or having to send a million emails, because I'll be honest with all of you out there. So just like Superman, I have a kryptonite. And my kryptonite is emails. Okay. So if you ever, send me an email and I didn't respond, I'm sorry. It's not intentional. It is my kryptonite. Right. And so knowing that, and knowing where my shortcomings are, I also figure out ways to turn that into opportunities. So a behind the scenes move is looking at what are those things where it's not in my zone of genius, but maybe in someone else's zone of genius, and then say, let's figure out how we can also work together, and not just with give it to the people, but I have definitely done it with being and becoming, as well as LAH companies, in terms of working with the lead igniter, because there and a lot of other companies out here in this network. And so I think that's something that is strategic. It's an intentionality, and I put my money and my time where I knew that I was going to get a return on investment. And not only for the company, but for everyone that's in my ecosystem.
No, I love that. And I mean, we appreciate it because I think that if more people thought like that, and so let me just kind of give you a little bit more on what she's talking about. So basically, she knows we're going to do events. It's not even a question. Okay. It's going to be an event somewhere. But in being able to say, well, if you give me this agenda, I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a table. I'm probably going to be a speaker. People will get to hear what I have to say. Also, you know, if we're doing our live streams, you know, just getting primary opportunities to be a part of that. So if you see something and you see her little face on a bunch of things, that's a reason why. And it definitely makes a difference. And even when you talk about the Give It Get It business membership website, which I'm going to bring up for you guys in a little bit, but those things do make a difference because now it gives you a lot more in relation to visibility. And so when we're talking about visibility, it's in multiple areas. So it doesn't just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do this one thing. So when you guys look and you see the website and you're able to see that, you see that little face right there. Okay. So as soon as you get on there, and then there's other places where she's at. And so if you start to look in and you see some of our other people that are on the website, it gives you the opportunity to be able to say, okay, well, what can we do? So when you look and you see events and you see the things that are happening on here, and you see the experts that are there. So like this is LaShawn with Being and Becoming. And then you start to see this area of the upcoming events and things that are there. It gives you the opportunity to see that there are other things that are happening. And so I, Chisa, don't have to post everybody's thing. You as a member get to post this. And so this is why, to me, it was really important for us to be able to start a membership, because there needed to be something that was connectivity online and offline. And I think that makes it a lot easier for people to be able to navigate. And so LaShawn, I'm going to ask her something when she comes back, but this is a question that I want to ask that I think a lot of people really need to know. And I don't try to put people's personal business out there at all. But when you look at this and tell me if it's okay to say where you were at yesterday.
Yes, you can say.
Okay. Yesterday, she was at the doctor's office. Okay. Having her family has some things going on, right? Everything is okay. We did a praise break and everything, right? But that was yesterday. Today, she's up here and she got the big smile on so that this way she can go ahead and give it to the people. But I want to know, like, how do you stay mentally and emotionally grounded while doing this kind of work? Because not only is the government changing, not only is your business changing year to year, and you personally, I know that with some of the things that came down that we talked about earlier with some of the federal things, some of those dollars may have adjusted some contracts and things that you had planned out. So how do you do that? Because a lot of people need to do that in order to understand that they can stay in business and they can do well.
All right. So let me just say this. And so when I show up, I'm not just showing up as a business owner. I'm showing up as a mom of two, one who is getting prepared for high school graduation. And as Chisa said earlier, that was her kind of calling in, trying to FaceTime me because she tried to pay for her last minute cap and gown stuff. I also show up as a daughter. I'm my mom's only child. So when there is anything happening with her, I am the one that shows up and I am there. So yesterday, yes, I was in a medical facility all day and all night, and still show up because, again, I wear these multiple hats, but I also try to show up and be present in my authentic self when possible, because there's sometimes where I am definitely multitasking where I probably shouldn't be. The other thing about all of this is I also build, which kind of goes back to that being the ecosystem. So I have a small group of people that if there's anything that I need to say, I can't show up and present, or I can't be the business owner hat in this moment. And I need to have a mommy hat. I need to have a daughter hat. I need to have a niece hat or any other hats that I am. Then I know and trust that I can pick up that phone, send a text, or do whatever, and they will show up, and show up just like it was Infinity Bridges, and be able to give you the best that I would give as well. So I really try to make sure that I don't over overextend. And if there is, because there are times, because I hear people always saying you're everywhere. What it is I'm trying to be intentional and strategic about where I am and what is the purpose of me being there. So there are places, believe it or not, everybody, that I'm not in. However, I'm very strategic and intentional about the rooms that I want to be in, about the partnerships that I'm trying to build, and where is that going to take me and the business moving forward. And so I think it's really important to understand that. The second thing that I do is I do not do any business on Sundays. Sundays is my day to literally do nothing. I have a red couch, my red couch, and my TV, watch whatever is streaming and binge watching, or I'll go to brunch with my friends, or whatever that is that I want to do. Now, I want to get to where I'm not working on Saturdays and Sundays, but I'm not at that point yet. But Sundays are definitely off limits. I don't return text messages, emails, phone calls, none of that. So you have to have those days. The one new thing that I'm doing in 2025 is on Fridays are now what I call my follow up Fridays. This is my administrative day for everything that I couldn't get done during the week. So I intentionally block that day off so nobody can schedule counseling sessions and appointments on that day. So there's a couple of things that I do to really, as people would say, set boundaries in the business. Because again, when I try to show up authentically and transparently each time. And so in that means that I'm showing up, first as the business owner, because that's my assignment. But second, behind all that thing, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a niece, and I'm all these other things to all these other people. But I also have to be and show up for me. And I'm gonna use one of your sayings, Chisa. I always got to keep my mind and my money right. So if I'm not taking care of me physically, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes we'll say it. So Chisa's part of my network, right? And so we have this little thing where some days we may be in oppression. Okay. And the goal is you can't stay in your oppression long. Now we're going to acknowledge that you're in your oppression. I'll tell you what that means in a minute, or if Chisa want to say it, but you can acknowledge that. You can be and have that moment. However, I'm not gonna let you stay in the moment as a friend. And guess what? My friends are not gonna let me stay in that moment. So acknowledge it, go through it, experience, feel it. But guess what? We got to come out of it, and we got to come out greater, better than we were. And we've got to figure out what are those boundaries. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
let you tell them what pressure is.
yeah, because I was like, she transitioned into something I wasn't going into, but we'll tell you about pressure.
Sorry.
No, it's good. So pressure for me is, and I don't know if anybody here has suffered from depression, anxiety, or anything of that nature, but I know that I have. And so I do not like to, I'm very, very specific about the words that I use to describe myself. So I just call it pressure. I don't put the D in there. And so every now and then you go through things as a business owner where you're just like, you're pulled in so many directions. You got this to do. The money didn't come in when the money was supposed to come in. This didn't do what it was supposed to do. Somebody sent too many emails, not enough emails. Somebody didn't follow up on a deadline, whatever it is. And then you think about, oh, I actually am a person who has a personal life too, and I'm just not feeling it. So pressure to me is one of those things where I think that you can't fully describe it, but it's a feeling of, I don't want to do anything. Like, that's honestly to me the closest feeling of like, I know it's stuff to do. Does it have to be done today? If not, I'm not even gonna worry about it. So for me, I channel mine in different ways. And LaShawn has now used this term to describe me. So now I guess I'm an adjective and a noun and all of those other things. But she says, call it taking a chisa. So that means taking a nap. Okay. And I will take a nap on you in a minute. If you go to the podcast, Real Ass Affirmations, we talk about taking a nap. Okay. And how necessary it is in your life. And what happened was when you were in preschool, you didn't realize when they were trying to make you take a nap, how good that was for your whole entire life. And it's like now they should do that. And in other countries, they actually have rooms for you to take naps. Okay. They actually expect for you to take naps throughout the day in other countries because they understand mental health, which is one of those words that's on that list that we're not supposed to be using. Right. But I want you to really, truly understand that when it comes down to this and comes to you doing your business, right? You having an ecosystem that you can rely on, like Latasha was mentioning, is an important thing. So when I'm saying be in the ecosystem, I literally mean, listen, get out, okay? Get out of your comfort zone and go to things that maybe you haven't attended before. Go to another state because it's something and you just want to be nosy and see what's going on. I mean, go to some events. And so what I want to touch on and bring LaShawn in on really quickly is one thing that Latasha said, which was going to things that are worth your time. So I'm going to preface this in advance. You are not allowed to say, look, I think they both know where I'm going with this. You are not allowed to say what event or who is in charge of said event, but there's events that happen on a regular basis. And every time we're like, is it worth me going, right? Like, are my clients there? So LaShawn, I want you to touch on that because sometimes people think that being everywhere, like Latasha said, is the key. And that's not always the key. So can you touch on that for us, LaShawn?
Yes. So one of the things that I love, people like to say time equals money. And I love getting around wealthy people. So that's getting out your comfort zone. They don't say that. They say time is more valuable than money. You can make money back, but you can't make back time. So you have to look at your time and you have to manage your time. And I'm with a friend of mine who does high performance leaders. And these are people in roles that are expected to do a lot. And the thing is that they look at where they spend their time and how they're spending it. And one of the things, I'm going to use one of Chisa's words since we're using all the Chisa words. Chisa says it's about mental wealth. That's their philosophy. So it's having that philosophy about mentally where is your wealth, and then I'm going to put my beliefs of stewarding your wealth well. So we got to realize our time is part of our wealth. A lot of people don't look at their time where their wealth is. So you got to look at where am I going, not only to be meeting and connecting, but you want to go places where you're valued, not tolerated. We tell people that about themselves personally. It's also the same thing about your business. Go where you are going to be appreciated, not tolerated. So even when you're going there, we look at it from one side of, am I going to connect with folks? But the thing is, do they feel you even need to be connected to that you're there? So it's a double-edged sword. You need to look at it on both sides. How is this going to add value to my life? I'll never forget that was a question the gentleman put forth when he looked at his relationships. How do you add value to my life? And the same thing is, the people are saying that about you. We do a lot of questions to ourselves, but we don't think about other people have those same questions about us. So when you're going to these events, they're going to be saying the same thing about you. And then you're wondering why, oh, I went and people took my information, but I got no one to get me back. Because they're like, well, I was being professional. Or if something comes up, well, you're trying to make money today. Yes, we're making connections for the future. But if you're not doing things in such a way that you're making them today, then you're going to actually cause such a problem. So that's one of the things you got to look at when you're going to these events, how it's going to add value and how you're going to add value to the people that are there at the same time. It's that duality of roles. And that's what will make things worthwhile. So, and then also talking it out with each other, because the LLC, I remember we talk about the ecosystem. The ecosystem, we say to each other, okay, now why are you going to this? What are you going to do there? And it's not that we tell each other things, but in you talking about it and somebody asking you those why questions, you start thinking about it and you go, why am I going? It seemed like a good idea at the time. But so that's why it's also important to be a part of the ecosystem, as well as in the last one I bring, when you talk about the who or what, sometimes knowing the who or what is good, because you go and call them and say, what is this event about? Who is going to be in the audience? And if they know you, they'll be like, oh, we'd love to have you, but let me tell you what this is going to be about, what we're going to do at the meeting. And then that gives you an understanding of, So this is why the ecosystem is so important. When you say be in the ecosystem. And then the last point I'll make is, don't go to things just because you're going to get customers. Go to places where you also going to grow. I go to meetings because I go to find out what I don't know, which then helps me to help my clients. So sometimes going to those events can actually be your training. You don't have to pay a lot of money for the training. That's how I've gotten a lot of my tidbits, where I've had folks that have been in masterminds that paid $10,000, $25,000. And I'm not just throwing those numbers out. I mean, literally, they paid, and some of them over and over again within the same year. But they gave me tidbits from what they did, or they gave presentations, and I was able to get some of the same information without paying the $10,000 and $25,000. This is why this ecosystem is so important.
No, those are some great tips. So in this, of course, we're still teaching, right? Like we're talking, we're having a conversation, but we are definitely teaching. So what I want you guys to do is, if you're watching live, to go ahead and type in a question if you have that. But is it worth your time? And these are some things that I could say that you can use to kind of evaluate that. Do you have a call to action? Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, because it's stuff that I'm just like, well, if I'm not really doing anything, or I don't have anything to let people know, or to tell them to go to something or to do something, then maybe it's not worth me going, but maybe it is. So I want you to think about, if you're trying to assess, should you go to something, what's your call to action going to be to people? Now, I want you to think of this in a couple of different ways, because it could be, number one, that they will ask you to do an elevator pitch. And in that elevator pitch, it allows you the opportunity to say, go to my website, subscribe to such and such. And so what I've been doing this year is similar to a call to action, but I just want you to kind of look at it like the way that I look at it, which is, when I'm meeting with people, my thing is, I'm going to have an ask. There's an ask. I am asking you for something, right? Now, I'm not asking you for something because I'm not willing to give something, hence why we have the membership Give It, Get It. But I am asking you for something because I need it. So that call to action could be me asking you for something. Before we started this today, I had a meeting this morning. And I told the lady with the meeting, I said, well, listen, I have two different things I want to ask you. Number one, can you participate? And do you even want to participate? Like, are you even available? Guess what she told me? She said, well, based on one part of it, that may not be the best way for me to do things, but my other business, what you're asking me for, this would be a great thing for my other business. So yes, right? And then she said, well, so I asked her another question. I said, well, because she's a writer. I said, well, could you write about it, or whatever? And she said, well, listen, I'm going to send you to the editor, because the editor can make a decision. If she wants me to write about it, then yes, I will do that. But then she gave me another contact. So when we're talking about a call to action, I think that there should be some type of ask that you put out to people, because you do need something or you do want something. But then in that with, and what can I do for you? Because the thing is people are so used to you always asking for something, because obviously they have it. Why would you be talking to them if you didn't need something? But at the same time, what value can you provide to that person as well? And so this is why, for me, when I say a call to action, it could be that you do want to provide a service. It could be that you are looking for that next contract. You do want them to buy from you. But at the same time, this is why I'm saying, I'm asking you for something, but I can provide this. And this would be a good such and such. And so this year, I've been specifically utilizing that as a way to build in the ecosystem, because I tell people, I'm blunt and upfront. I don't have time to be like, I don't really want anything. No, I do want something. Why did I have this meeting? Why did I set this thing? Because I do want something, right? But I also know that there's value in what I provide to other people. The other thing is, do you have something to promote? So if there's another class or anything, so that's why with this today of being an ecosystem, every person has a directive on here of being intentional, of saying there is something that I have that I want to let the people know about. So not only was this meant to say, okay, well, we're going to promote what we do, but also the people that are on here, which meant don't come on here and you don't have something going on, right? Because I'm just being honest, right? Because is there something else that you can promote, which is another part of why we're like, well, this is the membership, because you should be able to promote your things if you're spending your time and you're definitely spending your money. The other thing, you might want to say it's worth my time because that speaker, I want to meet them. I want to get in the room, right? And I have seen many of people. So we did earlier this year, we did our Black Leaders Luncheon, right? And there was a gentleman that came. Now, mind you, I always say your little circle head because, you know, since COVID, we've been living in a little circle head world where you only see people on the Zoom. You see that little teeny weeny head. And I had never met the gentleman before. And he was like, I wanted to come to this event because I wanted to meet you. And he's like, I saw you doing stuff in the triad. Now you're doing stuff in the triangle. And did it. And he just was like, but I wanted to meet you. But it was because he came out to meet me. But he also met a lot of other people that were in the room. And because when we're being intentional about our ecosystem, we're bringing in people that you should want to meet, then it turned into something where it's like, oh, we should meet things. Now, I'm gonna add one thing that's not on this list too, okay? The last thing on the list though is learn something new. You don't always have to be selling all the time. Like that doesn't have to be the thing. And LaShawn touched on this. I could just go to something because I want to learn something. No matter what, if you know a subject matter, if you know a topic, or if you know the genre, the industry, whatever, I guarantee you will learn at least one thing when you go to something, right? And so for me, sometimes I just want to go just to learn something new. So this is one thing I want you to think about. Everybody's talking about AI right now, right? We just went through a program. So Quintonia, I see she's on. We just went through a program last night that is with the city of Durham called DMEDI, right? And in that program, one of my friends was actually teaching. I didn't know who was going to be teaching, but Anovia Bedford. So if you've been in our membership, she did 3 different trainings for us, and they are up on the site for you to go ahead and see. And in that, she's a Google digital coach for North Carolina. So, you know, she's like, okay, girl, you know this. I don't need to tell you such and such. So she's talking about design thinking, right? I want you to understand in 1 hour, I'm sitting there with Mr. Brown and I'm listening and I'm doing what she's saying. And what I did was different was because she's with Google, she's using Gemini. So in me using Gemini, I asked Gemini questions when I'm used to using ChatGPT, aka Chatty, right? Gemini gave me some really great things and some new things that I wasn't even thinking about because of the way that I asked the questions, because of the way that she taught the class. So even though this is my friend saying, girl, you know this, you don't even need to be worried about this. I was like, oh, well, you know what? It opened up my mind a little bit more because it gave me the time to think about things in a different way. Okay. So we're probably going to bring her back to do that workshop because it was super, super excellent. And she is coming to the Women and Minority Business Summit June 19th. She was going to do a different class, but that design thinking class last night, I think she needs to do that for you in person. And so the last thing, and then I want Latasha to touch on this. This is not on this because this was really designed to say, is it worth you going to something that's in the ecosystem? But this is the key to it. The word is follow up. Ooh, what do y'all know about a follow-up? Y'all don't know nothing about a follow-up. So Latasha Basgatti, listen, I need you to talk to the people and tell them in this ecosystem why the follow-up is even more important than did you go to the event?
Okay, so follow up is the drop the mic moment. Okay, I just want y'all to know because when you follow up, and even if it's like I was speaking on a panel on Tuesday in Greensboro. And so what I have is a digital card. So when somebody says, "Oh, I want your card," I'll give them my digital card. Now, I will make a note of something they wanted. And so there was a particular program that they were like, oh, I want to register for that. So guess what? Now I have their text message. So by the time I got home, I had already found the registration link, texted to them and said, it was great meeting you. Again, y'all know what I say earlier. I was transparent. Emails are my kryptonite. So follow up the way it works for you. Now, for you, you may say, I have an email follow up. And this is where I'm going to tell you to also leverage technology. Because if you have a CRM system, or even if you just have a, a template follow up letter, email, and all you've got to do is pull it up and put their name and email and maybe the event or just one little thing. And again, this is where everybody laughs at me, because now one thing I am is a listener. And the reason why I'm listening is because when I follow up, I want to say something that we talked about. Okay. Now, I may not remember everything, and it could be as simple as, you know what? I know we both have kids that are out of the house and trying to figure out life. Hang in there. Again, whatever it is. Like I said before, my follow up this week was, hey, I know you mentioned you liked what I had to say about this one upcoming event. Here's the link to the event. Let me know if you have any problems registering. Now, and of course, you follow up what works best for you. Some people love social media and will add it to social media. Some people will do email. Some people will do a text message. But what it does is it gives a lasting impression. Now, the other thing that Chisa said is sometimes you got to give something in order to get something back. Don't be a business taker, right? So, don't be the person that's about like, gimme, 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 gimme. I want all of this and I want it free and I don't want to pay or whatever. Again, strategic, invest your time, look for your return on investment. So when you follow up, somebody's going to either say, and this happens to me more times than I can even imagine. Somebody will meet me, remembered what I said, what I did, and I followed up with them, and then I get a referral. So that person didn't necessarily become my client, but they remembered me so that the referral turned into money. That's what's the important thing about follow up. And we all know we want to get these coins out here, right? In 2025.
Listen.
And I don't even want us to get coins. I want us to get those dollar bills the right way.
Yes. And that does make a difference. And so the follow-up to me is the most important, because I've been guilty. And if you want to type into the chat, because you've been guilty too, when somebody's like, oh yeah, we're going to do such and such, we should get up. And it's like, yeah. So what I want to do now is I want to give you some things that you can do in the ecosystem so that you can follow up. Now, one thing that we did was in the membership, we did the event at North Carolina Central, and we told people, listen, you should connect in advance on the platform so that this way you can see the people in real life once the event actually happens. And so for us, that was an important factor because it led to people, joining the membership, but also being connected to each other. So for me, that was an important factor. Now I'm going to show you some of the things, because we had already had this together, that Latasha was talking about in relation to you following up. Okay, share, and then let's make this big. Okay, so when we talk about the follow-up, these are some things that I do. I use Loom Video, and I've been using this for, I don't know, maybe 2 years, but definitely more specific in the last 6 months. So if I am in a position where we've had a meeting, then I will go ahead and I will record a video and say thank you for the meeting, or, hey, I'm introducing myself. Every time that I send one of those things out, we get registrations, we get bookings, we get reply emails, because it is more personalized and it doesn't take a long time. The same way that I'm sitting here in front of this computer, I think about what I want to say and I go ahead and I record a video. I try to keep it underneath 5 minutes, probably 2 to 3 minutes, depending on the video length or what I'm talking about. And then I send that. I even send that video if I'm going to send out written content. Okay. Because then this way I'm like, hey, watch the video first. And then you get that, because sometimes I'm dealing with people who have never met me. And so I may need to introduce myself. So you can use this as an introduction, but you can also use this as a follow-up. The next one is photos. Anybody that knows me knows I love a good photo. Okay. I live for the camera. Okay. Love a good photo. So I tell you, and this is a secret. All right. But I'm gonna let you know. Take a picture with the person that you just met. because then you can send them that picture with you two together, and it makes it easier for them to remember you and for you to remember them. Take a picture and be like, hey, this was such a great thing out in such and such, blase, blase, nice to meet you. But I'm going to give you another tip. Take that picture, and if you're on LinkedIn, be like, hey, I had a great event. I was at such and such. I met blase, blase, and tag them in that, okay? And I would even send them a message on LinkedIn as well with that photo. But what this does is once you tag them, people that maybe don't know who they are or that do will be like, oh my God, there's such and such. I put out a picture, and I'm just going to show you, or just kind of tell you, illustrate it, with two people. All right. And I just said, we're doing some big things in Durham, right? I didn't even say anything about who the people were. So many people comment, oh my God, 3 of my favorite people together. Oh God, can't wait to see what you guys do together, right? But it was because we took that picture. Now, I'm always intentional about taking pictures. The one thing about me, though, I may not post it immediately because I don't want you in my business. You don't need to know where I was every day, okay? But that is something that we do. Latasha mentioned a digital business card. We use Link. And so for us, that's our way of whenever you scan into it, I get your information, you get mine. But let me tell you what you don't do, okay? Now, I don't know, Latasha, if this fits you, so you could tell me. You get that digital business card, right? So now you have the person's contact information. Did you ever download the information and actually follow up with them? So what I do is I get it, and every month I download all of the contacts from anybody who signed up on the digital business card, and I add them to my email list because they have given me permission to email them. They know that once they sign up on a digital business card. So if you do that and you have a digital business card, don't just go there collecting, because if you do that, let me tell you what it is. It's the same thing as, hold up, I got a bunch right here. If you get them, it's the same thing as you getting a bunch of business cards in real life, but you never reach out to the people. So if you get those digital business cards, download them, send a message at least once a month. Now add them to your email list, and now you have that. The next thing, which Latasha mentioned, is a templated email. Okay. So what we're going to do next month inside of the membership is we're going to kind of we're going to do a workshop on emails that you should be sending out to people, so that this way you already have them. They're already templated. And then this way you're ready to go. And so that's going to be something that we do. It'll either be a charge for the free members or free for our premium members. But what I've seen is a lot of times people like, I don't know what to say to people. I don't know what emails I need to send. And if you can copy paste, child, copy paste is like your friend. Now, it is only unless you mess up somebody's name in there. But a templated email is a wonderful thing to be able to have, because you don't need to keep rethinking, but you're saying essentially the same thing to everybody. And then the last thing on there is a booking system. Okay. Now I'm going to let LaShawn tap in for the booking system, because let me tell you something about LaShawn that y'all don't know. I got to get close to the camera. This thing will research to the research fall off the wheels. Okay. Her and Mr. Brown, both of them are research department. Okay. They will research to the ends of the earth. But let me tell you what's good about that. LaShawn will then say, this is why you should use one thing over another, right? Because she's looking at your goals. So LaShawn, can you tap into, for our ecosystem, and we can't do a bunch of them, but let's just use like 2 different maybe booking systems, and why a person should probably choose that, because definitely it helps with their time and their schedule and their management. But if we want to be in the ecosystem, oftentimes we don't have time to look at the calendar every day, but we have a booking system so people can do that, and it makes it more efficient. But give us some feedback on the booking system.
So I use Calendly when I want to have like one set of setups, and this came through some research and some others advising. So if I'm just doing meetings and sessions, even though they do the group meetings, Calendly is good, and I like a lot of the options and the way Calendly has it set up, and how I can do my private ones. I can have several ones behind the scenes and things of that nature. If I'm trying to do groups and trainings and things of that nature, I use Acuity. And I like Acuity because it allows people to do reoccurring, it allows subscriptions, it allows coupons in a much easier way than Calendly. So it depends on what your end game is, and making it easier, not only for you, but also the folks that are utilizing the systems. Those are the different ones. But especially, and then the other thing for Calendly I liked about it over all the others is it allows me to do all the different options of locations at one place. Several of the others, I had to put several different separate links of where I wanted to, but Calendly makes it efficient. And the other thing about the scheduling tools, the booking systems, like Latasha was talking about, the follow-up and things of that nature, you can actually it within those systems, Calendly, Acuity, as well as if you need it more extensive with Zapier, you can actually have it to send out the follow-up based upon what the type of things people you want them to do. So it's not about you have to go in and look. You can also connect them with those services. Also, since you mentioned Quintonia earlier, some of the systems for some people is actually good for them that connected with their bookkeeping systems. So talking to your accountant and your bookkeeper will also help you to determine which of those booking systems are going to be the best utilizing the tools that they have.
Now, anybody, if you're watching live and you're using a different system that you want to suggest, go ahead and type that into the chat for us. Hold on. Because I knew I was going to be on this for 4 hours. So I'm over here trying to eat a granola bar and it just got in the wrong place. So Latasha, say what you got to say so I could drink a sip.
Yeah, I was going to say drink a sip. But let me just say too is also look at, what platforms you're on. So for example, if you're using Microsoft Office 365, they now, okay, I wouldn't say it before, but they now have their own booking. So some things you can maybe do within that platform and looking at what already comes in your package. I do know, I haven't used it, but that even if you're using Google platform, Google is now trying to create its own calendar booking system as well. So again, look at what you're using and making sure, again, I love that. So automation and integration are my two favorite words, right? So things that you can automate and integrate to each other is going to always make your life so much better and easier. But being able to look at any system that is going to automate, integrate to what you already are, what you're already doing is going to be really important. And then I know this because LaShawn is also, I'm like her, she is the queen of research. If you are in a certain industry, so for example, if you're in the hair care or beauty industry, then there's certain programs for that, like Schedulicity and some of the others. And LaShawn probably can tell us and rattle off like 10 right quick. But
Bouncy is one of them.
Yeah, so style, see all of those. So again, there may be something that's also very specific for your industry. So don't think that we're giving you the only ones that are out there. You want to look at, is there something that's just for my industry? I mean, those two I know, or all of those, because of the hair care industry or the beauty industry, it has, and it says, are you doing all these different styles? It makes it a little bit easier. So I think that's really key. And one of my friends, we've already talked about her, but I'm gonna just tell y'all, if you are not used to setting stuff up, we call it YouTube University. These sites, so whether it's Calendly, Acuity, Microsoft, StyleSeat, Schedulicity, any of them has a YouTube video on how to set it up. So don't feel like, oh man, I don't know how to set it up. Guess what? Watch that YouTube and I have done it. And I look step one, and then I pause and I do that. Step two, pause, do that. So again, don't think that if you be like, well, I'm not good with technology and implementing all of those things. Guess what? There are some kind of online training. And again, you can pause, do it. Pause, do it. Take your time, be patient with yourself, and give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And Teresa, if I could throw one thing in there real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. You good?
Okay. But make sure you do your clients. Make sure you look at the system as your clients, because it's simply mentioned the hair care arena. I've dealt with several clients that were like, oh, I use this one. I love it. I said, well, tell me your clients are professionals, but you have to wait for them to validate that you have the appointment. I said, yeah, that doesn't work for me. All of my practitioners, when I set that appointment, it's a done deal. The only time it gets changed is if something's happened. I said, if you got to approve all of these different people and you're doing the hair, that's not helping your folks. So make sure you look at whether or not the customers you're dealing with that give you your most money, I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. Not just all the people, but the people who are giving you the most money. Is it something that's easy for them to use? And have that as your throwback of, this is the best one for me for this reason.
Yeah, no, that's important. So what I put up on the screen, this is Ours to Link app. You can go ahead and scan it or you can type it in. And I have the paid version of things. So I am a person where I'm always going to try to free. I'm always going to try to free. But if I find that something is more beneficial, then and I'm using it because it might be beneficial and I'm not using it. But if I'm actively using it, then it is something that I feel like I can invest in. So I have the paid version of Link. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to add videos. I wanted to add the podcast. I always wanted to be updating the events and adding pictures and stuff like that. So having the paid version gave me that additional opportunity to do that. Now, with that, what I can say, because I'm going to give you things that are more metric based, is that I had put one podcast episode up. That is consistently the most podcast episode that is downloaded on a regular basis. But it's because people are probably going to link. They see that one, they listen to that one. And so then that lets me know, okay, well, if this consistently over 2-3 months is the one that people are paying attention to, it's because it's in another place that people can get access to. So if you are looking and you're saying, okay, well, what else can I do in order to kind of spread the word about some of the other opportunities I have, then do that. I also want you to take whatever your link is, whatever your digital business card, because all of them will give you a link. Put it in the link in your bio inside of your Instagram if you're using it. And I would also suggest what you could do, and I'm going to say you don't have to do it like every week, but at least twice a month, go on your LinkedIn and just share that link with people and tell them to connect. Because a lot of times people are on LinkedIn, but they're just being nosy. Or they didn't know that you had such and such, or they want to schedule a thing. So even if you have a scheduling app, I can put the link, well, mine is in there for the scheduling app inside the digital business card. So then depending upon what your call to action is, as we talked about on the previous slide, if my call to action is, hey, I would love for you guys to check out my latest video, and I have it in the link app, when you click that, it's also going to ask you for your information, which hopefully then you give me, because you might be on LinkedIn, but I may not have your email that you want to use business wise. So that's a thing that you can definitely do on a regular basis, and you can schedule that out to come out on LinkedIn. All right. So we are nearing our end of our second hour. Can you guys believe that? I have another wonderful person that's on here. So this person is a part of the group, even though he doesn't know it. But since he was here a little bit later, remember when I told you about LLC? Once we add him into the group, he's LLCC. Okay. So this next person that's coming on is Jonathan Collins. Jonathan, hey.
Hey, Jonathan.
How's it going, everyone?
Good.
I think we're having a marvelous day today. And so what I want to do is I'm going to show them the Calendly really quickly, and then I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So let me come over here. So this is my Calendly. If you want to, you can have like a schedule on there, and then a person, like if they want to schedule a quick chat, then they can look and see what it is. They get to go in, they get to pick a date and a time of when somebody's available, and somebody is me. And then they can go ahead and they can, utilize it however they need to for the day and time that I'm available and book their appointment. It sends reminders via text and email. And so this is one of the things that I use to stay connected to other business ecosystem members. And I put mine down for a 15-minute quick chat. Okay. And it clearly says this is not a consultation. If you click this and I see that you're trying to do something extra, that's not you get canceled, right? So I like to go in and see what people are thinking about. So it asks them inside of there to say, well, what are we discussing? So that this way I'm aware of it. Don't just book a quick chat and don't tell me what we're discussing. It's kind of like a version of who all over there, okay? Because tell me what we're discussing so that this way I can be prepared. And I also say, like, if there are any documents or anything that I need to review in advance, tell me that so I can go to that site or I can check whatever I need to so I'm ready for the meeting. I promise you that most meetings that you need to have probably can be done in 15 minutes or less. You know what I mean? Because it may just be a check-in kind of thing, but I just want you to think about that. And if it extends longer than that, you can also put in buffers for your time so that this way people can't book after a certain time or beforehand. So those are things to just kind of consider, because if you customize them to your needs, then you won't be booked on top of booked on top of booked, and you'll have that space in between there. So Jonathan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself first, and then I'm going to go into a little commercial, and then we are going to jump into our 12 o'clock hour. So welcome, Jonathan Collins.
Hey, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. My name, as Chisa said, Jonathan Collins. I am a business solutions officer with Carolina Small Business Development Fund. Been with the organization for about a year. We are a nonprofit CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. So we help businesses acquire funding, provide some technical assistance and guidance through the small business loan process, and just do a whole lot to support our entrepreneurial community across the state of North Carolina. Prior to this role, I was the director of the Small Business Center at Durham Tech for a couple of years. I've succeeded LaShawn in that role. And before that, was a business owner myself. So really been immersed in this entrepreneurial community here in Durham, Chapel Hill, the Triangle region for really the last decade or so. So excited to be here, and I'm sure we will chat more after the break.
Yes. Okay. So let me pull this up so we can stay on our time frame. And where is it? Okay, hold on. Get it in here. Okay. So, and I want to do this just for everybody, if you're watching, so that when people come on, it is a clear delineation that we're going into something new. And so, LaShawn, how much longer do you think you're going to be on?
I'm getting ready to go out because I think you got some great subject matter experts from the financing and funding aspect. So yes. I'm the generalist, so I'm going to listen to them. So thank you for this opportunity. And if I could just leave one last comment for those in the ecosystem. Being in the ecosystem means that you got to give and get. So you get the information, but also be willing to give the information, as well as come back and listen to things like this over and over again. First time, listen for information. Second time, listen to take notes to gain the understanding. Third time, listen to get the understanding for the wisdom to apply it. So thank you for this opportunity. And Native, get in touch with me. I couldn't put a comment. I had to switch my devices. So anyone who wants to get in contact with me, Chisa will get that information. But I did want to acknowledge I did see your comment and would love to talk to you and connect you to some other Spanish speakers in the ecosystem.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for being on. And everybody else, she's on the membership too. So when you go to giveitgetit.biz and you join, then you can see LaShawn up there and you can connect with her. But thank you so much for being on today. We appreciate you. And those words of wisdom, we definitely love those as well. Have a great day.
Sending you all.
All right. Everybody else, just stay on. We're going to watch this commercial and then we'll be back. Hello, everybody. It's Chisa Penix Brown. And yes, it's another year. It's 2025. And I know that there's something wonderful that happens every year in August. So it is the Black Biz Summit, and it's coming back on August 1st. And I want you to be in the building. And I want to tell you something else. It's not just going to be Black Biz Summit Day, but it's going to be a Black Biz Month. Okay. So we're going to have all kinds of extra things for you to do the entire month of August as we celebrate Black Business Month. Make sure that you go to the website, BLKBIZSUMMIT, so you can get all the details, get on the wait list, see about being a vendor, see about being a sponsor, and you can also see about being an attendee. We'll see you soon. Woo! Yeah. Okay. So the reason I wanted to transition into that and kind of make this little segue is because when I first started with the concept of the Black Biz Summit, this will be going into our 4th year. I brought it to Jonathan because Jonathan was just starting as the director at the Small Business Center Network for Durham Tech. And one of the things that I thought was good was I was just like, listen, Jonathan, I kind of had a feeling, but it just made me feel even better because I felt like he was going to let me run wild with my ideas. And I was 100% right. So
100%.
We talked about it, right? And I was like, look, I have this idea and this concept, and it's your first year. You're just starting. I would love to do this. And I think we had from like maybe April or May until August to get it together. And I said, this would be a great thing for you to bring in. Well, and I'm going to be honest with everybody. I said, because you're not Black. The last director was Black. Durham is Black, right? And so I'm Black. So let's do some Black stuff, right? And I'm just being honest and blunt with what I said, right? And so one of the things that we agreed on was just the background and the diversity was an important factor for people. And he's like, listen, yeah, I would love to do that. So we were like, well, what other ecosystem people can we bring in, and who else do you want to do? And I told him, I said, don't worry about that. I'll bring that in. But who do you have that you can bring to the table for us to be able to do this and to make it something that's collaborative? Because yes, it's us doing it together, but we need to bring in some other people. So at that time, Jonathan wasn't at Carolina Small Business Development, but we still did have some support from them in relation to being able to talk to people about funding, right? And being able to pull in other people, because then Darlene was in that position, right?
Yep.
Latasha's been in it from the beginning. So she's seen the beginning and she's ready for number 4 coming up. But Jonathan, I just want you to talk about the experience of, and I want you to see from a perspective of, if somebody is bringing something to you of value that's mutually beneficial, then how do you then assess, like, you know what? Yes, let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I love to say yes to things. So it's usually a pretty easy sell to get me on board with whatever you're trying to do. But it is important to think through it from the perspective of, is this just great because it's something to do, or is there going to really be some measurable impact that will contribute to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve with your organization? So for me at the Small Business Center, one of the big things that I was tasked with was really making sure that we were serving the entire community in Durham and Orange County. And so that meant working to really tap into the strong Black business network that there is here in Durham, putting in place initiatives to expand resources to the Hispanic community. And as you pointed out, I am very much white.
Never would have known
that. I never wanted to necessarily be the one that is standing up in front of those rooms, in front of these groups that says, hey, look at all the things that I don't want to be the white savior, right? I want the people that are really in those communities to be the ones that are leading those conversations and giving them the opportunity to have that spotlight and to be there to support and be an ally in as much of a way as I can. So, when you came with the Black Biz Summit, it was a no-brainer, right? It was a big event that we knew we wanted to tap into. One of the challenges we had at the Small Business Center, I think a lot of small business centers experience it, is just getting people to show up for the free events that they put on. They still do a lot of free programming, seminars, one-off classes. It's a great resource and it's all free for the community. But because it's free, people would sign up and then maybe not show up. So with the Black Biz Summit, and even looking at a couple of the other summits that I've attended of yours, Chisa, it's getting that kind of big event energy around getting this information out to the community was really valuable. And we could really, again, kind of compound our impact in doing one big event with multiple learning sessions throughout the day and hit a lot of different people and get that information out to them. And that in turn really boosted our metrics for the year. We tracked all of those things in terms of event engagement and how many people were attending, how many events we were putting on. So in a single day, I think we were able to log like 9 sessions, which was huge for us, to be able to really, again, consolidate that impact into a single day and really focus on the community and bringing those resources. So yeah, those kinds of events were always something that I was looking to participate in.
I love that. Now, Latasha, can you touch on, and I'm going to just tell you guys now, you're going to have to be the first to know because, I mean, Latasha knows. We were going to do an event in January. I got sick, so we couldn't do it in January. Then we were going to move it to June, but we're going to move it to a year called 2026 now, instead of 2025, called Capacity Con. But part of it is capacity is like my favorite C word aside from Chisa, because I believe that you have to really see, look, I can't handle this right now, or I need to move something, and realize that as a business owner with your capacity. But if I had another word that I am just, it is ingrained now, because Latasha will not let it not be ingrained into my lexicon, is metrics. Okay. So can you talk about metrics for people who are either in business or other service providers, and how important that is for you to make the decision that you're going to be at an event, host an event, and what people should be looking for in advance, similar to what Jonathan said, like it's doing these things and we were able to track them over the year. But before they even get to that, what are some of those metrics that people should kind of look at to see if it's worth doing some things?
Yeah, so of course you are exactly right. So metrics is one of my favorite words, especially in 2025, because as business owners and service providers, we've got to rely a lot more on what our impact is and less on just being a small business, or less on just being a woman-owned business, or less on just being a minority based business or a Black business. We got to say, I'm the best business, right? And I have impact. So when we're thinking about impact, it's also beyond someone showing up and just sitting in the room. You've got to be able to say, what are you doing with that information? How are you going to take that information and implement it into your business, your goals, your vision? Now, the way that looks at in metrics is, was there a new revenue that either increased? Was it a new revenue stream that was more diversified? Did you learn about new pricing strategies to even making sure that you're competitive within the marketplace? Did you find new vendors or suppliers that you now can say, you know what, I was having a hard time trying to find this product, and now I have a new vendor or supplier that can get this quicker at a better price, those kind of things. The other thing is, from that, can I either create a job or a new contract opportunity? So a job is someone that you're bringing on your payroll, and so that's a job creation or job retention. And then a contractor is, hey, I'm not bringing you on my payroll, but you know what, you're helping me leverage and build the capacity, right? Because capacity in terms of what I can do. So now I have a new skill set. I have someone with new expertise. And I think that's really key. The other things is, now let's talk about the business. So, and this is the one that y'all don't like, but Jonathan knows this is important. How is the business doing financially? Is the business making a profit? Is the business losing money? Or is the business just breaking even? And depending on how those three things are, is going to depend on what your strategy is to move forward. Now, the last thing is, we've talked a lot about artificial intelligence, automation, and integration. What that really is your business operations. So what you've got to look at is, where are you spending your time? And so I have been very transparent today. Y'all know what? My kryptonite is emails. So I don't like spending time doing emails. So as much as I can put in my standard operating procedures. Now, again, that doesn't mean that I won't send emails. So let me just say that, because that's part of the business. However, when I can put that in my operations procedures and people still get what they want and what they need, and the links and the follow up and all of that, and now I'm communicating effectively. So that's a metric. I'm also getting the response I need, right? So that's another metric. And hopefully it's going to do what? Increase revenue or referrals. Or and this is the other thing that people don't think about in the ask, it may increase the number of followers that I would need in order for people to connect, because maybe they just need to follow what I'm doing on any of the social media platforms or on my website. So I think that's all of the different types and strategies of metrics, because people only want to kind of calculate or measure one way. It's actually multiple dimensional measurements.
Yeah, I like that. Now, Jonathan, from the perspective of working with Carolina Small Business Development Fund, people come to you, and I'm going to say this, and we've had this discussion before. Go to him because he can help you get some money, right? Like, and the thing is, it's not that you can't do that, but as business owners and as people that are in the ecosystem who are then referring people to you, right? As a segue from what Latasha said, what do people need to know before they send people to you? Or what do they need to know before they come to you?
Oh, where to start? It's a lot. I mean, it's at the very least, I mean, so what I love about our organization is that we do put a lot of emphasis on our own internal technical assistance as well. So, we do work with partners out in the ecosystem, the SBTDCs, the SBCs, the Latashas, the Chisas, like, there is no wrong door to get to our organization. But one of the things that we really look for is just the kind of understanding of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that comes in a couple different forms. One is an understanding of the project that you're trying to fund. If you are a startup business, we're going to want to see a really good business plan. We're going to want to see financial projections projected out for the first 2 years of business. And these are things that, need to be really well researched and really well put together so that when it gets time to go into a loan application, the underwriters, they're going to go through those numbers with a fine-tooth comb and put it under a microscope, and any other analogy you can think of try and find as much detail and issue as possible. So if you're coming to us with none of that, I'm going to kick you right back out, right? Like, I'm going to kick you back to those other referral partners and say, hey, you need to maybe spend a little bit more time developing this idea and come back when you're a little bit closer to ready. Sometimes we'll get folks that are maybe halfway there. They have the business plan, but the financial projections aren't quite where we need them to be. So that's a client that I might say, okay, you're close. Now you and I can work together and really kind of fine tune this and get it across the finish line. And then we have some that come and they're incredibly prepared. They've done the research, they've done the due diligence, they really understand everything that there is. And those are really great clients to work with because, one, it's less work for me. But it just shows that they're ready for what this process entails. The other side of it is that with small business lending, especially with our organization, it's not always just about the business finances. A lot of the time, especially again with startups, your personal finances are going to come into it. So you need to make sure that you are personally financially ready. And that is going to include things like making sure that you have money that you are ready to invest into the business. I'm going to, for the sakes of this conversation, I'm going to start or just speak mostly on startups. And I'll shift to existing businesses a bit later. But for our startup business loans, which can go up to $350,000, we require that the owners put in a minimum of 10% equity into the project. So if you come to us saying, I need $350,000 to get my business off the ground, you need to be ready with at least $35,000 to put towards the project. And that doesn't matter if you're asking for 5,000, which is our low end, we still need you to come with 500. So, depending on where you are on that scale, you need to be ready to take on and invest that money. And also understand how you're going to maintain your personal finances as you move into this business ownership. Are you going to be paying yourself through the business? If so, we need to see that in the financial projections in the form of an owner's draw or, put yourself on salary. That's totally fine. But then we also want to make sure that the revenues are going to be sufficient to sustain yourself and your household. If it's not going to be, if the business is not going to be your primary income, do you have a partner? Do you have other sources of outside income that you can bring? All of that brings strength to an application. So it's not just about getting the loan. It's about making sure that you are ready for it, and ready for the commitment that you are signing up for. Because how many businesses fail within their first year, first 2 years, first 3 years? And these loan terms that we're setting out are usually 5 to 10 years. So you need to be committed, and we need to be able to see that commitment and know that you are in it for the long haul. The folks that are showing up just trying to, fund their side hustle, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for businesses. We want to make sure that you are going to be in it, that you're growing, you're thinking about all of the different aspects of your business, your marketing, your operations, your finances. Who are your customers? How are you going to get them? What does your annual revenue cycle look like? Are there hills and valleys in your cash flow where there's peak times during certain seasons and drop-offs during others? We want you to be as realistic as possible in terms of how you're thinking about the future of the business as you can be. Because if you're not thinking about it, I'm going to tell you to think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a difference. And one thing that we are all like 100% in on is education. So I want you to be able to talk about your program, because you definitely mentioned your technical assistance, and Latasha and we will technical assistance you down. Okay. So I'm going to give you the social media, the marketing, the AI side of things. Latasha's going to give you the funding, the finances, the break it down, who has the money, who doesn't have the money. We're definitely going to do that for you. And then I'm going to make sure Latasha touches on the certification as well. But for Jonathan, can you talk to us about the program that you have that's online? That's the Vivid program.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really great program. So we have our Vivid digital classroom. It's free to sign up and use. We've got almost 100 classes on there from subject matter experts across a wide range of topics. So everything from learning how to use QuickBooks to disaster recovery to marketing. I just found out a client that I'd been working with. I referred her to our person that runs this program. We're going to be doing a new unit on commercial real estate and what to look for as you are looking for a location for your business. So we're really trying to create this well-rounded, self-paced database of courses that you can take to educate yourself in more depth on areas where you may feel you're a little bit weaker as a business owner. Typically people that start their own business are really good at doing the thing, right? Whatever the business does, they can do the thing, but maybe are weaker on financial record keeping or marketing or whatever it is. This is a great way to brush up on those skills, to learn a little bit more, and maybe even realize that, this is not something that I want to be doing in my business, and can direct you to think about hiring or contracting with another business that can handle that for you. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. It's also, if anyone out there watching is part of the E3 Durham program, these courses can be used as credits for their Learn to Earn program. You get a little certificate when you complete one. So I think they're all about an hour. So I'm pretty sure it's like a credit per course. So yeah, it's really great. And we are constantly adding new material to it. We are also always expanding the availability of courses in Spanish as well, understanding that there is a need for that kind of content. So definitely encourage you all to check it out. And it's really just meant to be kind of a supplement to the one-on-one technical assistance that we also provide with our potential borrowers.
Okay. And that's good, because we were talking about access as far as language accessibility earlier. So that definitely ties into that. Now, one thing I wanted to highlight on here as well, because I don't know the answer to this, but I'm sure you do. You do have some specific funds, the Durham fund and the Mecklenburg one. And so I don't know if Durham's out of money yet, because you were still trying to get rid of some money for people to get loans, or Mecklenburg. So if anybody is in this Durham area or down in Charlotte area, can you give us a little bit about those funds and like what's left?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Durham fund is, for all intents and purposes, closed. That was money that we received. Latasha sent me a client that I'm hoping will get the last little bit of it. The Mecklenburg program, honestly, I'm not super familiar with. I just got a little bit of a briefing on it yesterday, but I believe you do have to be in Mecklenburg County, and I think it goes up to $75,000. I apologize. I'm not caught up on that program yet.
No, it's okay.
But can you talk about the Ignite? Because
I saw Ignite come up here too. I'm gonna put in case. No, you're good. I'm putting the website in there, so guys, in case you want to check it out, then you can go to the website and you can check out the things you need to. But yes, the Ignite is the other thing to talk about because that's $75,000, right?
Yeah, so we just launched this program last week. So this one is exclusively for existing businesses. So you need to have been in operations for 2 years or more. It is our new expedited loan process for those existing businesses for loans up to $75,000. So it's a greatly streamlined application. All we need are the most recent 6 months of bank statements for the business and personal, most recent tax returns, and then just a brief, how are you going to use the funds? And from there, we'll be able to make a really quick determination on whether or not we'll be able to approve it or not. Those loans are going through the NC CAP program, which is through, I believe, the Rural Center. So they automatically add a 50% guarantee to it. So it's similar to an SBA style loan. Interest rates on that, we do kind of do a flat rate on there. I think they start at 11.5% or prime +4. And then we have other ways that we can bring that interest rate down. So if you're going to bring some additional collateral to the loan, we can bring the rate down automatically by 2 points. If you're a veteran, you get an automatic 1 percentage point discount on that loan program. So we do look at ways that we can make it more accessible and more affordable for those businesses. But at the very least, existing businesses that just need to purchase some new equipment, maybe refinance some debt, just get a little bit of working capital. This is a really great program, a great way, an expedited process. We're hoping that we'll be able to turn decisions around within a couple days as opposed to a couple weeks like how it took before. So
Wow. Latasha, I feel like you want to add something in on that.
Yeah, because I think it's really important for people to understand something that's really key. So Jonathan said, how you plan to use the money. I need business owners to really have a plan. Like I meet with so many business owners that be like, but if you give me the money, I can make it work. We have to have a plan of money implementation. So if you want to buy equipment, if you want to look, some of these softwares that we're talking about to improve your operations and automation, to improve your technology, that's what you need to say, because then it's going to really kind of go a long way. And it doesn't just help, the lender like Carolina Small Business Development Fund. It really helps you as a business owner. Like if you need to upgrade your technology, like I meet a lot of businesses that may say, and they say this all the time, and I just start laughing. Okay, I have a desktop at home, so I've got to go and I got to wait till I get there to do X, Y, and Z. When you may need a tablet. So if you, even had said, okay, I need to invest in a tablet that can be mobile, where I can do invoices, I can send quotes, or, I can reply to things quicker while on the spot, then guess what? That's going to hit those metrics that we've been talking about. If you invest in something that will, like a lot of other things that I get and I see that people just don't think about that you need to invest money in is I call it an all-in-one printer, scanner, device. Because, and I know I'm calling y'all out, so I love y'all people, but and Jonathan may screech when I say this, when somebody asks you for tax returns or document and it's on your knee and you take a picture with your phone because it's on your knee, I'm
I
gonna
don't
just
think I'm muted.
pause.
I'm
No,
sorry.
we're in 2025. There is such amazing technology to help with that now.
Oh my gosh. I laughed and I was just like, am I on mute or not? Because I was like,
I know, y'all, and you ain't, and I'm sorry if I'm offending someone that does that, but like there are certain times, like, and I'll just say because I was doing a project in partnership with Carolina Small Business, and one of the requirements was to send your photo ID, and I saw so many knees, so many tablecloths, so many countertops, so many other things that you're like in the background beyond the ID that you're like, come on, please. Just and again, but that's part of equipment.
mm-hmm.
That's something. And guess what, everybody? This is an asset that the business will own.
That's true. That and let me
Okay.
speak to that. So during COVID, one of my clients was Piedmont Business Capital. Okay. And I need you to understand where there was a disconnect because they told people to upload a PDF. We had so many people that didn't either know what a PDF is, how to turn something into a PDF or whatever. And they're wondering why their documents couldn't go through, right? And so then the young lady that was in charge of that program had to show people in a video how to do a PDF. Now, hold on. This person that's coming through, I want to say hey to her really quickly because I think we may have had a technological thing and she's got to leave really quickly anyway. So Sharon, you can't come back later on?
I've got a meeting at 1:00.
Till
I
2.
don't know how long the meeting is going to be.
Okay, so if you can't come back, that's fine. But if you can, then come back for sure. I just want to introduce this person to you. So Sharon Walker. So Sharon, tell them who you are, and then we're going to send out something to everybody with everybody's contact information.
Well, I've got roughly about 10 minutes before I have to actually really jump off the computer.
Give you these 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. I can do this. My name is Sharon Walker. I work for the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, EDPNC for short, because that is a mouthful. But I am a small business advisor. I help small business owners, entrepreneurs navigate rules, requirements, things that they need to make sure that their business is compliant with state and local agencies. Mm-hmm. And to get them to resources to be able to get things that they're going to need for their business. Like if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I really need funding because I need to get either this truck repaired or I need to get a new vehicle because we're expanding the business. I'm sending them to Jonathan. I'm sending them to different CDFIs depending on the area that they're in and getting them the resources they need. We're also the first line of defense for small businesses during disaster recovery. So since September, we've had a lot of concentration on businesses in the western part of North Carolina, trying to get them the resources to get back on their feet.
Yeah. And we definitely need to know that just because the flooding's gone, that does not mean that the damage is not still there to a lot of places. So there are a lot of businesses that are back up, but there are a lot that aren't coming back at all. And there are some that are still trying to get back up. So if you do have the ability to be able to support some businesses with your dollars by going to actually patronize them, please definitely do that. So Sharon, since we have a couple of minutes with you, I want you to then talk about how it's been working in the ecosystem, because I think we've probably been working together for a couple of years. And so you know everybody that's on here right now. But in this ecosystem with Give It to the People and how we've been doing things, when we send you guys events, what do you say to the events when it's like, hey, do you want to exhibit? Do you want to speak? What's like the answer usually?
Yes.
Okay, yes. And why? Because guess what? People ask you to come all over the place, right? All the time. And you are a statewide organization who needs to serve the entire 100 counties, but you can't make it to everything.
Exactly. Yeah. We're a really large team of 5 people covering all 100 counties. Sometimes I jokingly refer to us as 4.5 because my director, Laurel, sometimes can't be on the phone. But we're only 5 people covering all 100 counties. So it's, with the phone calls that we take in every day, sometimes it is difficult to get out into the communities. So when you send us information, it's like, hey, we have an event coming up. Sometimes we actually have little discussions as to who's going to attend. Because I always have my hand raised, because I do feel that we are one of the best kept secrets in the state of North Carolina. We've been around since 1987. We've had several different name changes, but we're here as a free service offered by the state, and not many people know about us. So when we do get events that are coming up, we jump at the chance because we're a free resource. There's no payment involved for anything. We tailor everything that we send out to a caller is tailor-made specifically for their business and industry.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we're always going to have yummy food though, right?
Always.
But no, I think it does make a difference. And so earlier I joked when I said, the term who all over there, like we want to know who's going to be there. And so the thing is, even if you're coming out, some of our stuff is on a Saturday, so you're giving up a Saturday to come out to educate people about business. And so those things, are you going to have a good time while you're there? And I know you're still doing your job, but at the same time, it does make a difference, because I had one person who I try not to even let this person come to events anymore, but I'm gonna tell you why, because I'm a little petty, but it's okay. It's petty business, because the person said to me, oh my God, I couldn't believe so many people were here. I thought I was gonna be able to get some work done today. They thought that they were gonna come to the event and just sit on their computer and just do the work that they would normally do at their office. And I'm like, we have people that come to these events, and those people want to engage with you, and they want to come to your tables, and they want to ask you questions, because a lot of times when we're doing stuff online similar to today, they don't know the face behind it. They also don't know, they hear the acronyms, right? But then once they see how you can help them, then it builds into a confidence of them being able to have that arsenal of people that they can rely on, and that they can get reliable information. So it's not just, like, I'm going to send you over there and hope it works. No, if I send you to Sharon, I know she knows what she's talking about, and then she can refer you to somebody else, right? So those are things that we're thinking about. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I was going to hold off on this, but because you got to go, this is a really good question, and Latasha and Jonathan are going to love this. But if you had an unlimited budget to solve one issue in the ecosystem, where would you invest and why?
Oh.
See, got her.
Because that immediately brought in two different sides of what we do.
Okay. All right. You can split your money up. Okay.
Oh, good. If I can split the money up.
It's you're one organization, but we'll let you split your money up into two things.
Okay. If I can split it up, I would have part of the funding specifically for disaster recovery, to not only get the word out that it's available, but to be able to get enough people to get the information to us, so that way we can get that money out to small businesses and recovery. The other part of that, see, I have this kind of, thought that goes through my brain constantly, where it would be so nice if we had like little parts of the state where we would have just small business events like once a month, where people could come in and just be like, okay, I have a question about this. I'm getting this in the mail. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And there's a staff there that is ready to go, ready to tell them exactly what it is that they need. And it would be one of those situations where, it would only be like, centralized within like maybe 4 or 5 counties. So it's not far for people to go to.
Latasha, does that sound like something that we wrote in a grant that we didn't get the grant for?
It does. Did you see my eyes? Just like,
I promise you, I'm sitting over here like, that sounds like exactly what we proposed, right? And so I'm so glad that you said that, because what that does is that validates our idea of being able to go around the state, provide the same event for people, but they don't have to be as far to go get this. And so that lets me know EDPNC is 100% behind that localized service, because that helps build the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, great minds already put it together. And look, like to hear, we got a proposal about it.
Listen, we have it ready. The proposal is ready. Who wants to sponsor? Okay, because we have it ready. We can start next month. Okay, well, hold up. We have to start after May 6th.
Yeah, yeah, we got to start after May 6th.
I saw the look on both of y'all's faces, and I went, Are they are they also thinking that?
Yes, we're definitely thinking this because we propose it. And the thing is, guess what? I think that when you propose things, it's the same kind of concept as bidding, right? Everybody's going for the same dollars. And so in that case, it is a certain pot of money, and somebody has to make the decision that this thing is going to be the most beneficial. And so in this thing that we applied for, it was more I think the people that were chosen, which was still wonderful people, so I'm not, knocking anybody's thing, were more regional based, and funds were giving to more regional based things where we wanted to go all over the state because that's what we do anyway, right? So the same thing as you, Jonathan has a region, and I want you to touch on the areas that you work with, Jonathan, because if you're in the Triad region, in that way you'd be going over there to my girl Madison, but there are different people within Carolina Small Business Development similar to EDPNC, and they cover different areas, right? But the state as a whole needs these resources, and this is why we say underrepresented communities, because they come to the big cities, but not to the rural areas all the time.
And it's like, even within our organization, we have 8 individuals that we've split the state up into different sections that work with existing industries, but it would also be beneficial for small business to also have that opportunity as well. They still send us the resources. If somebody approaches them and says, I have a small business that I am just starting, but I need help with this, they still send everything over to us. But it would be nice to have the type of funding where we could do something like that it's more centralized, so that way, because there are going to be certain areas of the state where there's not a small business center because the community colleges are not there.
Yes. And even though there are 58 community colleges, but I've had people complain that they didn't want to come because they lived in Cherokee and then just trying to get to Asheville. It's still a drive for a lot of people, right? And so I want you to touch on one thing before you leave, though. This is the EDPNC website. And even though I know we're talking about being an ecosystem, what does it mean to you to be all in North Carolina?
Oh, to me, it's a great joy in seeing a small business owner take hold of that dream, that's what they're going to do, where they're being able to be in a position where they can either start off as a home-based business and then start to expand into a brick and mortar, or where they are expanding to the point where even as a consultant, they are getting traffic from all different areas of the state and sometimes the US, depending on the specialty that they're in. But with North Carolina specifically, seeing that small business succeed, to me, is probably one of the greatest joys of my job. I tell people all the time, I have the best job in the world. I sit and talk to people all day long about what they want to do to make their dream come true, to be a small business owner, and to have that happen. That's what being in this position, this is what being within EDPNC as a whole, because we are here to promote and help the economic growth of North Carolinians and small businesses and existing businesses and large businesses and global businesses coming into our state.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and that makes that. Yes. Now your boss is going to be at the Durham Business Evolution Summit, being one of our speakers on May 6th. So we'll get to that'll be my first time meeting him. But he'll definitely be there representing EDPNC. And I do want to say to anybody else, if you're watching and you have a business and you'd be interested in exhibiting, then you can fill out the application. I'll go ahead and type that into the chat. And I want to thank you for your time. So this way we'll let you get on to your next meeting. And we appreciate you for being on today and being able to share a little bit of wisdom. And again, for validating that idea for us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. And if my meeting gets cut short, I'll try and log back in.
Okay. And then Sharon will also be, I think it's either you or Laurel are coming to the Women and Minority Business Summit on June 19th. Somebody's coming.
That's me.
Okay, that's what I thought it was you. Okay,
Yeah.
So you'll get to meet her in person and she's going to be talking about all kinds of good things. So if you're thinking about starting a business, then you will be able to meet Sharon in person on June 19th. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you, Jesus. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
Yay. Now, Jonathan, you got all of the money. You can spend it. What would you do with this money? Because I really want to know. Unlimited budget.
One of my passion projects that I've been trying to figure out how to do for a while is like a retail incubator program. I think Main Street retail is going through a lot right now, and especially in and around downtown Durham. Real estate is just way too expensive for these small businesses that are trying to get going, especially if you're looking at any sort of brick and mortar retail. So being able to create a space where small businesses can do like a short-term rental, like month-to-month leasing, kind of dip their toe in the water, figure out if their idea is doable or not, get that validation, and use the opportunity as a stepping stone for growth into a more fully realized brick and mortar space. I'm from Toronto originally, and up there they've got it's called the St. Lawrence Market, which is like one of those old market buildings built in the 1800s or something, and it used to be kind of like the main marketplace for the city of Toronto. It's still operating, and the way they've got it set up is basically stalls all around this great big market hall. And I think we need something more like that, kind of like a 7-day-a-week farmers market situation, where small businesses, whether it's a food business, whether it's just, selling T-shirts or candles or whatever it is, you could get a stall. I think it does a lot to create additional tourism. It's the kind of place that people want to come and see and visit and spend their money and support these local businesses. And, just really give small businesses the space to grow and provide additional assistance in, guiding them through developing their business as part of the program, kind of looping in a lot of the technical assistance and advising that we already do in the ecosystem with a space that can actually allow businesses to start operating.
Yeah, no, I love that. So Dr. Marita said that could be a game changer for micro small businesses. So I put in a couple of things. Design Archives, I was just in there yesterday in Greensboro, and they have one in Winston-Salem, do exactly that concept where there are stalls around. And then the other half of the thing is their whole booth, which is basically another store. But it gives those small spaces to businesses to be able to do that. Box Yard in Durham is similar to that, where they have a certain time frame that your business gets to go in there. And then you get to try that out.
To review those applications.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, so then that's right there in Durham, and so they're also getting ready to build the hub too. So I'm sure there'll be more businesses that are there. And then Latasha, I want you to touch on what you said about downtown Durham, because when you said that idea, I was like, that's exactly where my eyes went to. Downtown Durham.
I'm not saying they took it from me, but I may have had coffee with Tiffany Bayshore and floated that idea.
Well,
Yes.
I love it when people put it in the atmosphere and then it comes to fruition. We just need to just give you credit for it. So that's what
Yes.
we really need to do, is just make sure that Tiffany gives you credit for it. But I think that's really key because people don't need large spaces like they used to. And so if it could be a multiple purpose use retail space. So Downtown Durham Incorporated is working on a accelerator plus a retail space in partnership with Self-Help Credit Union, that there will be a space but multiple retail or businesses that would have a smaller, kind of like you said, kind of, I call it a booth, and they will then be able to sell their items there and go through a program to help them look at scaling and growing it, because these are probably business owners that are vendors at different trade shows, different events throughout. And so they're traveling. So to be able to have a one place to say, hey, like you said, if you like this t-shirt, if you like this soap, if you like this hand cream or shea butter or whatever it is, because it's a lot that's out there, candles and all of those things, then here is where you can kind of go and do that. The other thing they have is, I call it a smallfest, but it is a small little retail corner. Right now it is downtown Durham, and I forgot the address, but the current person that is there, which is SM SDM, which she'll put it in the chat of what it stands for, but is a little jury. But they have grown and are going to a larger space. So again, this gives you the opportunity to test the market. This also gives you an opportunity to see what the foot traffic is going to look like, what your sales, because sometimes we jump out there too soon and sign this big commitment lease and do this big thing, and you don't have the right customers or clientele at that moment. So I think that's really important. So Downtown Durham Inc., if you are looking for a small window base, and I mean small, like I think it's like 100 square feet or something, but if it's that, but she's got it all, like all her things that she makes, and she does jewelry and things of that nature. But just know that is coming. The other thing that
sorry, just to jump on real quick. So the other point that I would make is, a lot of businesses that I talk to, especially at Durham Tech, we're trying to start with online sales first, which is so hard to do. So again, having a space like that where you can actually go, people can come in and like touch and feel the product and test it out and get to know you as the owner. It makes it so much easier to then drive additional sales online if that's something that is part of your business model. But just trying to set up a shop online and that being your exclusive outlet can be really hard. You have to work through SEO. You have to work through all of those digital obstacles that exist as well. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of a return to this desire to be shopping in person, and to experience what these local businesses have to offer as well.
No, that's important.
I agree.
Now, Latasha, before you go, because we're getting ready almost to our next hour. And Jonathan, I know you're going to stay until at least 1, because I have somebody that has a question for you. But first of all, I want you to touch on the business certification. So I'm going to pull that up. And then I want you to also answer that question. What would you spend that unlimited money on?
Oh, okay. So while you're pulling up the certifications, I'm going to start with what I would spend the money on. So first of all, I probably would divide it in a couple of different ways. And I would want to make sure that business owners not only have the right, and I probably would say kind of process and operations, because there's just so much that they just jump into it, and then when it gets too far gone, they then have to kind of go back and clean it up. So really starting off the right way. The other thing that we haven't talked about, and we've talked a lot of startups and stuff, but the one thing I want to make sure is that businesses also know how to plan their exit or succession planning strategy, which I think is a little bit different than and their retirement plan and those kind of things. So again, I'm still about the money. So all of this would go to something that would help them really manage their money better, because they just don't think about it. And I get somebody in business on, I'm good with math. And I'm like, what? Like, but that's the key and essential. So there's some strategies, some business things that I would want them to really do. And then I want them to think about it from a leadership perspective. So how to be a business leader. They know how to be a business employee, but I would spend some really valuable training of how to be a business leader. Because the employee is the person that manages the day-to-day, you from the janitor to the secretary to the, to whatever else. But how to be that business leader and making those decisions. So I would divide my money up, and it would go to a lot of different financial tools and resources for them to really be successful from A to Z in the business.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And before you go, I want you to touch on our the Certifying
My
Succeed
famous
program.
Yes.
Where did you go? Hold up. There. Okay, well, hold on. Something happened.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think I'm still here.
No, you're there. There we go. All right. So there. So yeah, Certifying Succeed program.
All right. So Certify and Succeed is a program in partnership with Durham County Economic Development and Infinity Bridges, where we have been working with existing business owners to get them certified with the state of North Carolina's Hub Office, historically underutilized business office, to get 2 certifications. That is the Hub or statewide uniform certification, which is based upon being either a woman or minority owned business, and the small business enterprise certification, which is based upon being a small business, which is less than 100 employees and less than $1.5 million in revenue. In addition, working with those business owners to making sure they have a capability statement, which is like a business resume. So how you promote to procurement officers or supply diversity officers or whatever the new name will be in 2025, of people buying goods and services on behalf of their local government department and agency. And then also making sure that you are in Durham County's vendor system, so that any time that Durham County is looking for vendors, then they have you in the pipeline. What we are doing coming up, and I'll give the dates in a minute, but so we have some one-on-ones that are going on. And so I'm going to tell y'all now, this is limited time only. So this ends April 30th. All of this ends April 30th. So we are working with, and you can just, if you want to stay there or go back, I don't know where you want to go, but we are working between now and April 30th. We have some training sessions that you'll be able to attend. There are a luncheon and an afternoon virtual, and a luncheon and afternoon in person at the Durham County Library. And guess what? Those dates are on the Give It People membership platform for you to be able to register for those events, as well as to register for any of the other programs that we have. But this is a limited time only. So this is not one that you need to say, oh, I'll wait until May. The program end date is April 30th. Okay.
Tell them that's it. I put that up in the membership so you guys can go there. Go to giveittothepeople.com. It's also on the front page. If you go to Eventbrite, type in Certify and Succeed, you'll be able to find it there. So please go ahead and register for that if you're interested in doing business in Durham County. But when she's talking about things that are statewide, then that's still applicable to you. And you being able to get that, what's the word I'm looking for, Latasha? You being able to get the capability statement.
Statement.
That can take a long time by yourself. But if she can help you specifically and you can sit down and do it in person, that is something that I would definitely recommend you doing. So register, come out in person. And that one will be at the Durham County Library downtown. So that gives you plenty of time to look at your calendar for next week. Because I mean, it's like in the next 2 weeks.
I was going to say it's April. So that one is April 29th. So the dates are, so I'll go over the dates. So the date is April 22nd, April 25th, and April 29th. And again, depending on, we try to be accommodating. So we have in-person, virtual, and we have lunch and afternoon sessions. So whatever kind of, works for you and your schedule. But this is a great opportunity for you to, even if you just get your capability statement, because you got to know and be able to have something that you can email someone to say, this is who I am, what I do, and this is my past experience.
Yes, for sure. So I would love to say to you, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, being a part of this, because I think that, sometimes people just need those resources. And so if you want to leave people with one final word, and then Jonathan, I'm going to ask you that question, and then we'll segue over because we have another speaker coming up as well. What's your final word for the people from Infinity Bridges?
Well, so my final word, which I always say, is don't suffer in financial and business silence. So many business owners feel like they are on the island by themselves, and they feel like they need to be the crabs in the barrel. Like, oh, I need to get it. And don't think about, well, you know what? How can I leverage if all of us go in together to get it? I will just tell you that the moment that I changed my mentality to let's really kind of figure out how to leverage my network, how to be in the ecosystem. I'm not going to say that again, but be in that ecosystem and partner and collaborate with others, that it just expanded what I could do. And it expanded my businesses. And sometimes I had to be vulnerable and transparent to say, you know what? And Chisa knows this one because I say this to her a lot. So I can't do this marketing thing, but if you can help me, and can you record me? Because me and my phone don't record the way you and your phone record me. Or can you create me a graphic real quick? Because I couldn't create me and my Canva don't work the way you and your Canva work. Like, I have to know that, and I have to be okay to say that. Whereas, and to say it to someone that can still laugh, but also know that I knew she can get it done, and we can really make sure that it's being beneficial for who we want to impact, which is the business owners, right? And we also have to know, so you got to build those relationships with people that you know, like, and trust. So don't suffer in silence, and build relationships with people you know, like, and trust. That is my last comment.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you for being on today. And what we're going to do is we're going to transition into a commercial because y'all know I like to stay on time. It's 1:00 on the dot. And then we're going to start our last segment for the day. And then, Jonathan, I'm going to start with you. And then I'm going to be bringing up Dr. Jimmy Davies as well. So everybody, just stay tuned. I'm going to take us off the screen, and then we're going to pop this commercial on, and we'll be back. Hi guys, it's Chisa Penix Brown, the Chief Curator of Give It to the People, and we have something that's new for you. We've been talking about it for a while, which is the Give It, Get It membership, right? The great thing about this is I know that with a lot of business owners, you are overwhelmed. I know that decision fatigue is a part of the process, and that's because you probably don't have a plan or a system in order to really help you to develop. You probably need your marketing things done for you. You probably don't have anybody to help you with PR. So when we look at what we can do to help you, that's one of the great things that we're going to offer in this membership. But we also have plenty of people in the membership that can help you with clarity in your business, that can help you with funding in your business, and that also are in different areas where they can connect you to different people. So one of the great things about being a part of the Give It, Get It membership is you don't have to do it alone, because entrepreneurship can be very lonely. It can be very daunting. You can feel like you just want to pull your hair out. You just want to stop at times, but you don't have to do that, because if you have somebody that's helping you, then you can say, I'm spending my money well. So we want to make it something that you can invest in on a monthly basis, and something that's going to give to you online, and then also something where we're going to have events that are in person. We've been looking at some other models that are out there, and we love a good chamber of commerce, especially when they are supporting their members. But what we've seen is it's not enough for small businesses. So if you're a solopreneur, or you're like me and Mr. Brown, where you have two people working together, a couplepreneurs, or maybe you're working with your best friend or something like that, where's the resources for you? There's a lot for startups, but there's not so many things for us existing businesses. So our target is people that have been in business probably 2 years, 5 years, up to 10 years in there. Doesn't mean it couldn't be longer than that, but it does mean that there are things that you're missing. And it does mean that you need that support that you're not getting from anywhere else. So guess what you can do? You can join the membership. Yes, you can. Tammy, oh Lord, Tammy is gone. Look, Tammy, hold on, because the membership would be nothing without Tammy. And Mr. Brown is going to be in the background doing some things. Come on in here. Did you just try to throw Tammy in? Come on in. So let me explain why this is good too. Because you might be the type of entrepreneur who is working in the daytime, and then you do your business when you get off, right? And that means that who's there to support you for that? Who's there, right? And Tammy is always there. Always there. So we know what it is to get off of work and go straight to an event. We know what it is to get off of work, and on the weekends, you got to give up your weekends because you got to do the business, right? Those things are important. And so we've just looked at the fact that sometimes we haven't seen anybody else that's really here to support those dreams. And we have a wonderful crew that we work with. So we have some things that are coming up for you, where those headshots that you need, some of those videos that you need, we can help support other businesses. And so that thing where it kind of goes around, right? You join, but then you support another member, and then you can solicit your services, and then it comes back around. All of that stuff is important, right? So if you just saw that video, right, I was missing something. Tammy needed to get in the picture, but I didn't have to worry about that because I have a little support team over here. Hey, support team. Okay, all right, good. So if you know how we have big fun, and we do our micro gatherings, and we bring people together, and we do some brunches, some luncheons, a little dinners, all of those things are things that you'll be able to expect in a membership. And it's not high pressure. It's just saying we need to do something different. And so, check out the membership. Get it membership.
Check it out.
Okay, guys. So that was a little bit longer, but we felt like we have enough time to do it here today. So, hold up. I think you have something going in the background. Okay, there we go. So with that, Jonathan, you've been able to see some of the growth and things that we've been doing over here. We give it to the people and then starting a membership. And so, what are your thoughts on that? And then the other question for you is also, there was a question about, for the loans, is there anything for anybody that's disabled also?
Let me start with that one. So I am not aware of any specific programs for individuals with a disability.
Okay.
There are some certifications that do qualify if you're a service disabled veteran. Okay. That is a certification that you can receive through the SBA, and that might benefit you through government contracting and things like that. But I am not aware of any that are specifically targeted to folks with disabilities. In terms of the growth of Give It to the People, I am just like flabbergasted because, going back a couple years to when you came to me with the Black Biz Summit idea and seeing what you've been able to do since y'all came to Durham and really expanded, it's just like Chisa's already at an 11 most days. So like, this is like Chisa at like 22. Like she has like doubled down on all of the efforts and all of the activities, and just seeing how you're able to kind of expand the reach and the resources that you're providing statewide. It's just incredible. Like the membership, I think, is a really great opportunity to just stay connected to everything that is going on, because there is so much. I don't think I've ever seen a week where you're not doing something. So like, there is such extreme value there. And anytime I get invited to a Give It to the People event, I will be there with bells on, because it is always worth the time. It is always worth the energy and the commitment to just benefit from everything it is that happens at one of your events.
Well, I love that so much. And for you, because somebody asked about where you're located. Yeah. So in that also transition into just the counties that you cover really quickly for me.
So Carolina Small Business Development Fund, we do operate in all 100 counties. My territory specifically, I am based in Durham. And I have kind of like center cut of the state. So if you start at the Virginia border and kind of work your way down to the South Carolina border through the center of the state, those are most of my counties. So just listing them off real quick, I have to have them written down so I can have my quick reference. So Lee, Harnett, Granville, Vance, Franklin, Person, Caswell, Orange, Chatham, Moore, Hoke, Scotland, Durham, and Alamance counties. Those are all mine. But that said, all of our BSOs across the state are amazing. So if you're in the western part of the state, we just hired a new person out there, Vanessa Garcia. She's great. You mentioned Madison Potter, our rep in the Triad. She's incredible. Bryant Kennedy covers Wake County in the northeastern part of the state, and then Magali Rivera covers the southeastern part of the state. She's based down near Fayetteville.
Yes, I love Magali. Mm-hmm.
So we have such a great team, and all of us are really committed to making sure that the businesses that we work with get the support that they need to start and grow their businesses.
Okay, I love that. Now, in the interest of time, because I try to make sure, do you need to hop off? Because I know you have.
I'm good, actually, yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure. So we're going to transition to Dr. Jimmy Davies. And let me tell you why I'm excited about this. Dr. Jimmy Davies came to the Black Biz Summit, right? And he'll probably enjoy this story. And I was like, does anybody have any questions? And Dr. Jimmy got up and I thought he had a question, and he did a whole advertisement. And so I was like, I said, well, that's not a question, but okay. But let me tell you what happened from that. What happened from that is that whole being in the ecosystem. And, when he came, he said, listen, he hadn't heard about the event, but he wanted to be a part of it. And then he ended up being one of the speakers for the Black Biz Summit last year. And he has a membership also, which definitely predates anything that we've done. And his membership is way larger. And he is also international with his membership. So, when I asked him about being on, I said, well, this is something that I think is a really great fit for an ecosystem, because his is expanding internationally, but also he does things differently than we do. So I wanted to bring him on because he also has a focus on AI, which I think is extremely important for what we're talking about. So Dr. Jimmy, I'm gonna let you go ahead and just kind of give us a little extra background on you. But I always love when people do take the opportunity to go ahead and get that little bit of shine for themselves, because you never know who's in the audience.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to be one of your panelists today. First of all, I have to explain that you may hear some background noise. I'm in the hospital.
Oh.
I'm here for a family member that's just had major surgery. When I accepted your invitation to be here, I did not plan to be in the hospital. So I'm in the hospital, in the lobby, in the waiting room. I'm trying to get in the corner here as best I can to avoid any other noise. But anyway, I just wanted to explain that. So that's why I'll go on mute whenever I'm not speaking.
Send in prayers, yes.
And I would appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. But anyway, she did come up through the surgery very well. But we are here at the hospital to support.
Okay, no problem.
But I just wanted to share a little bit. You mentioned that we focus on AI. Actually, we focus on technology simply because that's my personal background.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people I was looking at entrepreneurship early on, decided I didn't want to work for someone else, but didn't know what I wanted to do. And a friend introduced me to a Macintosh computer in 1987, and I fell in love with technology, and I got into it from that point on, helping people learn how to use the software. Fast forward in 2018 or 2015, I met Joe Dudley of Dudley Hair Care Products, and he was talking about entrepreneurship, how our community needs to be thinking about being job makers and not job takers, and promoting our own businesses. And so it just clicked that I need to use my tech skills to help entrepreneurs with technology and to be more proficient and efficient in their businesses. And so that's what Every Dot Black is about. It is a support group, like you mentioned, an association. And I tell people all the time, first of all, I want to applaud you, what you and your husband are doing, because I think of, sharing our message. It's like church. There's
Mhm.
churches all over, but every pastor reaches a different segment of the community that one pastor can. And
Mhm.
so I think that it's great that all of us are out there. There's more than enough for all of us to flourish, and you're going to reach people that I'm not reaching. I'll reach people that you're not reaching, especially I got a little gray hair up here. You're not going to be reaching them at this point, right? But I learned so much from Joe Dudley that I realized that entrepreneurship is the key that for our community, and we've got to change that mindset from being consumers to being
Mhm.
producers.
Mhm.
So if I've gone on a little bit too much here, but you have to just stop me because I get
No,
excited about the topic.
yeah, no, you did excellent. And let me just say, so just the connection. So I remember seeing Mr. Dudley, UNCG actually used to do a series called Entrepreneurial Journeys. They don't do it anymore. I don't know why they stopped it. And I would love to maybe just pick that up because I think that that would be a wonderful thing to bring up here. But he was one of the speakers, and I was like, oh, I definitely have to go and see that because I mean, being here and being in the triad for all of those years and seeing the Dudley brand and in the stores and stuff at that time, all of those Black brands were not in the stores, right? And so I went and I listened to him talk about how he used to go door to door to door to sell his products, right? And I mean, honestly, that's what a lot of us in a way kind of do now. We don't do that now because you can't trust people at the doors anymore. So we don't do that now, but in the way of, physically bringing the product, letting people try that and building a relationship. But what I thought was really awesome about him and then what he did in his ecosystem was it wasn't just about him. He also then built up stylists. And so let me tell you this really quickly. My hairstylist, he brought her from Alabama. Okay. She was in Alabama. She went down to Atlanta and then he brought her up here and she ended up working in one of the shops and ended up being one of the top salespeople and one of the top people doing hair to specifically focus on short hair. So the transition of that then goes into there. And then if you add on to that, the brand influence came from the Joe Dudley brand. And then the guy that supplies the hair products, Wilbert Artist, Wilbert supplies that to my hairstylist. And he comes to our events when we do our Beauty Biz Summit every year. So you went all the way back to the 80s, but even in just seeing that legacy that he's been able to leave, it has touched me in a personal way because of the products, because of the services, and then specifically because of my beautician that keeps me looking cute every week, Jennifer Neely. It's one of those things where she had a personal relationship because, he brought her up here to be able to help run the salon. And then, years later, then I meet her and then it just turns into this whole brand thing where she asked me, well, she put it online and she was just like, she wanted somebody to do colorful hair. And I was like, okay, let me just try it. And I can't go back there. I can't go back. I used to just be jet black all the time. And now that's become a part of the brand. So even in talking about that, him starting when he started has become a part of my brand that we use now. And that was because of that ecosystem that he started all of those years ago. So that's an incredible thing with that. But how did he touch you ecosystem wise with what he was building?
Sure. Well, I'm going to even go back further. He was mentored by a man by the name of S.B. Fuller that a lot of people don't know about. S.B. Fuller was born in 1905 in Louisiana, moved to Chicago, started with $25, and created a business bringing in $18 million a year during the 40s and the 50s. He mentored John Johnson of Jet and Ebony magazine. He mentored George Johnson of Afro Sheen and Ultra Sheen, if you remember back in the day. But a lot of people don't realize he also mentored Mary Kay of Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Oh, wow.
And he mentored Joe Dudley. And when he passed away, Joe Dudley promised him that he would continue the meetings of mentoring other upcoming entrepreneurs. And that's just exactly what he did. And so really these meetings goes way back before Joe Dudley, way back before me, certainly. But these meetings have been going on for literally 90 years of mentoring entrepreneurs, passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
The benefit or the advantage that we have today is that we have technology. We have Zoom. We have, a StreamYard. So we can reach people all over the world where they couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So now the opportunities are greater than ever, in my opinion, that there's no reason why anyone on the planet can't get the message if we do our jobs. So, so anyway, I'm excited about that. But how did it affect me? I think the biggest thing is that when I was introduced to a computer, I was teaching people how to use software, and I grew a business. So I was bringing in, I had servicing 40 cities and 12 states. So we're going from city to city, providing computer training for people. But I was always doing it by myself, basically. I had some employees. But the big thing that I really hit home with me is once I met Mr. Dudley is that you cannot truly be successful on your own. You have to build that ecosystem.
That part.
You have to build that network. And so that's what Every Dot Black is about. That's what really, how it impacted me is that it's not just about me. It's about those that are in my community. It's about preparing and leaving a legacy for the next generation, because that generational wealth, that's where real wealth begins to kick in. When someone can stand on the shoulders of those before them and carry the torch a little further down the road. And that's why I'm really excited. I was excited to see what you and your husband are doing, because I consider you the generation behind me.
Yep.
Like I'm 70 years old, so I don't know how old you are. You have to tell me, but I know you're not that old.
I'm not in the 20s, older than 20s.
So it's great. It's great to see that. I know. I just get excited about it to carry the message. So I'm just trying to do my part while I'm able, and it's really wonderful to see others behind me that's going to take it further, than I can. So.
Oh yeah, no. And let's talk about communities in general. So Jonathan, I want you to chime in on this, because I think that a lot of times when we say underserved or marginalized, and I'm just going to pull this more from a personal note, and tell your dog we say hi, because we can see the dog. He's at the hospital. The dog is in the background. And he's a fuzzy dog, but we can see the dog in the background.
Life happens.
But one thing that I've always been sensitive about, and it's just because it affects my personal life, and so I'm going to tie all three of us in together. So when we look at just other communities, a lot of times people look at things for face value, right? And so they look at just what they see you look at, but they don't know all of the things behind it. And so sometimes people are insensitive in things that they may say because they don't know certain things. So I didn't know anything about Canada until you said that today, right? That you were originally from Canada, right? I've never said anything bad about Canadians anyway, except for Drake. But outside of that, the rest of it is what it is. Okay.
He stepped in it himself. He did that to himself.
He did do it to himself. Yes. Okay. But the thing is, you are a part of the LGBT community, and I consider myself an LGBT community person, even though I'm technically an ally. And I always tell people, because, in that community, so I have to, my brother is gay, right? He has a beautiful husband. And how me and Jonathan even got connected with that whole thing was, we were talking about the fact, I was like, his name is Jonathan too. And so it was like the connecting with my brother's husband and kind of bringing that in the community. And then even with my sorority sisters. So now this year we're celebrating 25 years of Sigma Gamma Rho. 3 of my line sisters are gay, right? So in the way that I see things and the way that I do things, I'm always cognizant of who could be in the room, the way that things are said, and just being sensitive to people in different communities. And so for me, that's even goes down to the food. Like, you have vegans and vegetarians. We try to make sure there's something there for everybody. And I don't think a lot of people consider that. So it's not necessarily sometimes in things that you have to lead with, because people just looking at you don't know anything outside of what they see for face value. But in working in the communities, and there is a LBTG Chamber of Commerce that's based in Charlotte also, and I really want to work with them. But has there been a way that you've pulled in your individual ecosystems, for you, Jonathan, and more so the LGBT community? And then for you, Jimmy, they don't know, but I'm going to tell them, he's a member of Phi Beta Sigma, and my best friends are Phi Beta Sigmas. And technically we're like, I know that y'all have Zetas, but don't worry about that. Because technically at Elon University, it was Phi Beta Sigma and Sigma Gamma Rho when we came up, because we both charted our chapters 25 years ago. So Jonathan, I'm going to let you start, and then we'll go to you, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think when it comes to community, and business ownership, it's important to be authentic and be yourself and lean into what it is that sets you apart, right? And makes you different. If everybody were just trying to be the same version of each other, that would make a really boring world. So in terms of, how you can activate those communities, especially if you're starting your own business, lean into those groups that you already identify with. Make sure that you are promoting those things and letting your audience and your customers know that these are things that you as a business owner support and stand for. Especially this day and age where it DEI is under attack, right? And all of these, to use your words, underrepresented or marginalized communities that had been working for so many years to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight and have been demanding, their fair share or even just a fair shot at trying to be included in these conversations. That's all being stripped away. It's this almost backlash to everybody trying to get a seat at the table. And yes, I present as a cisgender white man, but it's very easy for me to also throw myself into some of these minority populations, right? I'm an immigrant. My mother's Jewish. I'm gay. So it's important to go below the surface and really get at who you are as a person and how do you incorporate that into your own identity. And then if you're comfortable doing that, how do you incorporate that into your business? Because I do think that there is more benefit to be gained by leaning into who you are and that authenticity piece than hiding from it. And so don't be afraid to engage in your community. Don't be afraid to spread that to the world. There's a great, one of my favorite bars here in downtown Durham called Velvet Hippo. They have this beautiful rooftop space.
I have not been yet, but I was over that way last night and I was like, I need to go up there.
Yes. Oh my God, it's great. And proudly lesbian owned, proudly, very proudly LGBTQ. And Durham has the community that will support those businesses. So I'm not saying that's why they're successful, but it certainly contributes to it, right? So finding those things that can really set you apart are going to benefit you in the long run. And if it is something that is truly important to you, then it's important to stand up for it and make sure that your voice is being heard, especially in this time when a lot is happening to try and quiet those voices.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I'm just going to throw this in there before we jump over to Dr. Jimmy, because when I first came here, so this is why I want you to understand the ecosystem and how important it is to communicate to people. When I first came here, so actually before we moved, we were working with Black Wall Street. So we were a part of the, I guess the word is cohort, but they have another word they use and I can never remember that word. Council is what they like to call it. So we were part of the Durham Council. And even though I was still living in Greensboro, they said, well, let's let her into this council because she still does stuff here. And then we ended up moving. But we were going to do an event that was for Black Wall Street. And what happened was the place that we wanted to do it at, I looked at the place and I found it on Liquid Space. So it was beautiful. I didn't know anything about the background. The place was not friendly to the LGBT community. So when I looked at that and I said, this is where we were going to do it at, and I didn't know that, there were people that sent me messages and checked me. And they said, nope, you do not. They said, Chisa, you do not want to come up here and do that. And that is not what you stand for. And I had met with the people. I went to the venue. It was beautiful and everything, but I didn't know that. And so my ecosystem, and I'm talking about friends from college, okay, because they live right there on Gear Street, okay, a lesbian couple, one of my best friends, Shamika, she sent me a message. Now, Shamika never sends messages unless it's like homecoming time. But she sent a message to say, listen, you do not want to do that. You're not here in this community living, and you're not a part of the LGBTQ in that way. So I want to let you know how this would affect it. And so please don't do that because that would hurt your business. And I was just like, well, okay, let's find another location, right? And so to me at first, if nobody told me that, if there was no communication around that, then that could have been something that would have been detrimental to me, not knowing that. So Dr. Jimmy, can you talk about how even in your community, when you talk about the Greek life, right, how that has helped you even in your business and maybe even some of your other frat brothers or frat sisters in being in that ecosystem, How has that kind of transcended into your business?
Sure, that's a great question. Two things that come to mind when I think about my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, is that one, that was the first time as a Sigma, I really began to develop leadership skills. And I tell people, I would always show up. I'd show up on time, and I'd have whatever committee I was on, I'd be prepared. Before you know it, I'm the president of the chapter, right? That's how it goes.
Yes, it does.
So anyway, but it really brought me out of my shell and helped me develop my leadership skills. But over the years, I always thought, how can I bring Sigma into my business? And it hit me just last year. Last year, our chapter, Zeta Theta chapter in Big Rapids, Michigan, had its 50th anniversary reunion. And so one of the brothers reached out to me. Jimmy Davies knows about technology. He can help us market this reunion. I said, sure, and be glad to do that. And I had seen brothers I hadn't seen in years, literally. Now, I'm not the Sigma for 50 years, but the chapter itself was just 50-year reunion. So all the brothers from the last 50 years. Bottom line is, I came up with the idea of let's have a virtual reunion of the Sigma brothers. And so we had a virtual reunion to tell them about this physical reunion. Well, and it hit me, why not have, because we had a lot of lost brothers, lost Zetas, whatever happened to brothers so-and-so, whatever happened to sister so-and-so. So it came up with the idea, why not have an annual Founders Day virtual reunion for all Sigmas and an annual Founders Day for all Zetas. You can use it for Sigma Gamma Rho, a virtual Founders Day, sponsored by Every Dot Black. And so now all of the Sigma brothers and Zetas are beginning to learn that Every Dot Black promotes entrepreneurship and promotes technology training.
Yes.
And some of my Sigma brothers have already signed up for, and I've trained on how to use AI in their businesses. Because when I think about it, same thing for Sigma Gamma Rho, these are professionals for the most part. They've attended college at some point.
Yes.
They're professionals, and they need to be up on business and technology and the services you provide. So why not tap into that, have an annual reunion of your sorors sponsored by you, give it to the people, right? And at the same time, you're reuniting folks that haven't seen each other in years. They're anxious to come. It doesn't cost them anything to come. It's a virtual.
Yeah.
But they're also promoting your business at the same time. So that's what we started doing. But it really is that a nugget you like to use?
First of all, Dr. Jimmy, you don't even know. Okay, wait till I tell you, and I'm about to tell you once you finish this. It's
okay. Well, that's the thing. Oh, and then the last part about it is that when we actually had the physical reunion, everybody's taking pictures, right? So I said, everybody, send me your photos, right? So I put together a digital booklet, a digital version of the photos of the reunion that we actually sell to help pay for the reunion.
Get the money, Dr. Jimmy. That's what I'm talking about.
So they can add in the physical souvenir booklet, or they can also subscribe to the digital souvenir booklet and see about all the photos of all the things that we did and all the brothers they hadn't seen in years. So those are the
oh
things
my gosh. Okay, so
tying my fraternity into my business.
So let me share a couple things with you guys. Hold on. Okay, wrong. We need to be over here. So one thing is last year, the mayor of Durham had a thing. Oh, hold up, it didn't share like it was supposed to. The mayor of Durham had a town hall, okay, and the one of your frat brothers was there because he was in charge of for Phi Beta Sigma, but he was the one that's in charge of the Divine Nine, and so the U.S. SBA had put a collaboration together with the sororities and fraternities through entrepreneurship. So this was a catalyst for me, and I'm just showing you so you can see the site where it was like, I said, you know what, let me get back fully active the way that I need to, because if you don't know, if you ever join any one of these are the Divine Nine organizations here on the screen, you can be a lifetime member, or you can join while you're in college. And then after that, then you need to pay a membership fee every year. And so the thing is, they call that active if you pay the membership fee. If you don't pay the membership fee, it's not like they kick you out like you're a member, you're just not active. And so that's a business model, right? And so last year I was like, you know what, I'm really going to go ahead and get back into it. From that moment of last year, it has turned into, I just went 3 weeks ago to see my newest line of Omicron Upsilon across the burning sands, if you want to say it that way, at Elon University with two young ladies who are twins. And that was one of the things where I was like, yes, we're definitely going to get back into the sorority. Now, I see I have another person from Elon that's on here who is a Delta, Dr. Renita. And she said, from you, Jonathan, authenticity is key, and it makes for genuine and cemented connections. Faking it until you make it could wreck your mindset. So she was definitely on there with you. But that was one of the things that was kind of like a catalyst. And so what happened from that was, once I started going to events, at that event, I was like, listen, we need to take a picture together to show all of the different people that are in this room, that are in business, that are in this ecosystem, that are Greek. So everybody that was Greek got up, we took a big picture. The next event I went to, when I went to the MWBE Coordinators Network, I made everybody get up and let's take a picture. And what happens is it changes the relationship. Like, you just thought this was a person that was out there, which they are, but it made you be connected. So when you start to know certain things, then what it does is it builds that ecosystem, because even if I'm not in the same organization as you, it's like you've gone through things that are similar to me, and we can understand that together. So the other thing that I want to show you, which is really interesting, in June, we're going to be hosting an event. Now, I am just host. This is not my event, so I always like to make that distinction. That is called Sorority. Okay. Now, this was started by young ladies that I think were in South Carolina. And so what they're doing this year is, let me find it. Okay, here it is right here. So you guys can see. So this particular event is going to be happening in June, and it is to get all of the sorority members together, regardless of which organization you're in. But you could also be, an ally, like we talked about, to come to this particular event to celebrate a day of sisterhood overall. And what happens specifically in Black sororities and fraternities is you tend to have a little animosity or antagonism because this person didn't join this organization. But the thing is, this is like, listen, we are grown people and we have things to do. And so in me doing this and being a part of it, you see me over there in the yellow over there sitting down. Okay, that's me. So when you do this and you see, and it's like, wow, there are so many people that now we have a common interest together, and our ecosystem gets even bigger, because you didn't know that this person was of a certain organization or a certain background until you asked them that question. So that's coming up this year. So when you said that, I'm like, oh, that's such a great idea. And you know what I thought? Well, why can't we host it together, Dr. Jimmy? Like, this doesn't have to be a thing where it's just given to the people, or it's just we could host one together for the entire MPHC. And so I'm just like, this conversation that we have is exactly how we build community, in my view. And it makes me excited to even hear you say that, and then just the idea and the concept. And then I love the fact that you charge them. Like, that adds on the icing on the cake. It's just, give me a little bit of money, right? Because a lot of times, and I want to piggyback on this to kind of circle back to something Jonathan said earlier, free often equates to not as much value for people. But Jonathan, can you kind of touch on that? Because we tend to do a lot of programming that's free. And therefore, does that mean that people shouldn't come? And I think that a lot of times it is in what you're saying to get people there.
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on the value of offering things for free. Mm-hmm. Because I've so many times, especially at your events, Chisa, this is something that always resonates with me, is I feel like you always end the event with bringing up, like, if you are offering something that is of value to your customer base, they will pay for it.
Yes.
So in my view, doing things for free should be a lead generator. It shouldn't be the meat. It should be the appetizer, right? You should be giving away a little sample of what it is that you do that is enticing people to then want to buy the whole meal, right? Mm-hmm. That is what free does for you. There are organizations, Small Business Center Network is mandated to offer free programming. because it is prepaid by your tax dollars, right? We have government, I'm not with them anymore, breaking that up, but they have a mandate to, provide small business education across the state of North Carolina. Their funding comes directly from the state legislature. So, there are times where you are going to be restricted by things like that. But in business, again, it's not about, you don't want to devalue what it is that you're doing, and offering too much for free or at a discount can end up hurting you long term. A lot of it is about knowing your worth, knowing the value of what it is that you're bringing to market, and having faith that people will pay for that. And so it's also, as you're developing your business, making sure that what you're developing does have that value. If you're just trying to do something that other people are already doing and trying to undercut them on price, right? Like there's sometimes to where the started, free has less value. So you want to make, and even cheap can have less value, right? There's a big thing with customer decision making and psychology behind it, that you always want to present the customer with three options. You want the low end, the mid range, and the high end. Because there are going to be those customers that can only afford the cheap version. And there are going to be those customers that want the premium version. But for the most part, when you present a customer with three options, they're going to gravitate to that middle option. So you want that middle option to be your moneymaker, right? When you look at when Apple launches a new iPhone, right? They have the kind of budget standard version. They've got the XL Pro series, gold, diamond, platinum, whatever it is. And those, they generate sales, but most people are going to be buying just, the iPhone 16 or whatever that middle option is. And that is all rooted in psychology. People don't want to be perceived as cheap, nor do they want to spend the most. So they're going to go for that middle option. So think about how you can incorporate that into your business. A lot of things that we see as well is there's a lot in people wanting to be very socially conscious in their businesses these days. And make sure that they are serving people that are maybe low income or don't necessarily have the money. That's great. But you also have to keep in mind, if that's your target customer, there's not a lot of money there, right? So you need to think about how you can supplement that by either having a sliding scale on your pricing or, doing some sort of subsidy program for those low income individuals. But again, it all goes back to what is the value of what you're offering, and how do you get your customers to buy into that value?
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the thing. So we're going to touch on this really quickly. So last year, the Black Biz Summit was supposed to have a charge, because Jonathan and I had talked about it, and we did start charging. And then we had a let's call it a snafu, where a decision was made that we weren't going to charge. I definitely didn't make that decision, but that decision led to me making changes and adjustments in what we're doing this year. And one of the things that I could say that we always do is I'm about quality over anything else. I am not a she frou. It's got to be, I am. Did you learn something? Did we educate you? Did you get a nugget? Did you give a nugget? Like, that is me, core in, out. So we're going to always make sure that there are amazing speakers that are going to give you exactly what you need, and probably more, probably exceed your expectations. So for me, that's always been the key thing that goes along with it. And even with the sorority, like my sorority was founded by 7 educators. Most of my sorority sisters are actually educators like me in different ways, but I didn't know that 25 years ago. Like, I mean, that was what was going to turn into the life that I lead now. But I think that you choose things because they align with you as a person and they resonate with you in some way, shape, or form, even if you don't know it and you can't see it in the beginning. So one of the things that I think about is with our ecosystem, whenever we're saying we're going to charge, we're going to put a price to something, there is always going to be pushback with that. And you have to be okay with either losing some money, losing some clients, or gaining the right people that need to be in the room. And so when I charge for things, it's because they definitely deserve a charge. But also, do you think we can just continue to exist in our businesses without charging? We have bills to pay. This ring light that's on, she requires electricity, okay? She is giving the skin all that I need today. But electricity has to be on. I need to be in the building in order to be able to have that, right? So as business owners, we don't want to shortchange ourselves. And a lot of times the resources that are in the ecosystem are free. Okay. Which is not a bad thing. But at the same time, there is a time that you need to pay for things. So Dr. Jimmy, I want to transition back to you with when you started your membership, and we saw where the motivation came from that, but there's a charge to your membership as well, and yours is international. So have you ever had any pushback or anything like that? Or do people say, take my money, Dr. Jimmy?
Yeah, I have had some pushback actually because our mastermind meetings are free, and I've been going back and forth a little bit about that, but I've kept them as free for two reasons. One, that's what Joe Dudley did, and that's what SB Fuller did, and I want to continue that to get them in the door, right? So I use that as a funnel to get them in the door. But once they get in, then I try to show them what the members get when they actually join. And I think Jonathan is actually absolutely right. I've heard it, that's why you go to McDonald's or whatever, you get a drink, or Starbucks. They have the small, medium, and large. You see it over and over all the time. And so our membership, we actually have 4 levels. We have a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. But we start off with bronze, silver, and gold. But then we want to have a high-end membership of platinum, which we really give members even more than we, the high-end services that we can provide for them. So yeah, I agree with that. And something else that came to mind too, as Jonathan was speaking, is that I've heard once that you want to identify a problem, magnify the problem, and then offer the solution. Oh, thank you. There's our website there. Identify the problem, magnify the problem, and offer a solution. And when you offer the solution, that's building in the value for whatever your fee is that you're charging the people. So you want to build that in, show them the value of it, show them the benefits of paying whatever X amount of dollars it is to be a member of that particular, or to join or buy that service or product, whatever it is that you're selling. So yeah, that's our website there. And one of the things that we do is we, like I say, have the mastermind meetings. There's some links at the top there, a number of links where anyone can go and sign up to attend the mastermind meetings. But when they're actually joined, they're listed on the website, where we try to give our members more exposure. People call me all the time, hey, do you know someone that does web design? Someone that does branding? I go to our membership. And then the other thing, over time, we've built up a large mailing list. So as a member, we put your information on our mailing. The way it's sent out a weekly newsletter, we'll put that information on our newsletter to get you more exposure. So those are some of the benefits of being a part of Every.Black. And as I mentioned earlier, is the networking piece. Just a couple of weeks ago, about 7 of our members, all in the health field, wanted to put together a health summit. So it highlights all of our members in the health-related fields for the health summit, still educating the public. And so individually, they're getting more exposure and more business for individual businesses because they're a part of Every.Black. So forgive me, I hope I've answered your question. I'm trying to.
No, you definitely did. And that's why I wanted to bring up the website. So this way, if people, I had put it already in the chat, but if people want to tap in, then you can go ahead and tap in right now and join. And then I want to, we have about like 15 minutes left. So I'm going to, Dr. Jimmy, I'll let you go first. What is one thing in the ecosystem that we should stop doing?
The one thing that we should stop doing, I think we have to stop, and I mentioned this earlier, we have to stop, I should say, we have to start thinking of ourselves as producers and not so much consumers. I heard a guy say just a week ago, he says, how many pairs of shoes do we really need? I know sometimes the ladies might be a little guilty of that.
Look, I was like,
the guys.
I don't know who he's talking to.
But the point is that do we really, if just, and I just pick shoes for example, I have some females in my life, that family in life, that's a big thing that they have. But what if that money, even half that money, was taken and invested? And or taking that money and saved and invested in something that's going to bring you returns years later. So I would say the one thing is just changing the mindset of thinking of being entrepreneurs versus employees, think about, now there's nothing wrong with being an employee. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But because you can learn as an employee, but ultimately go out there and have your own, start your own. That's just my opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
what we need to stop doing is stop trying to find a job, but make again, let's say a career, but and that's just me. But
No.
make be a job maker, like I said, not a job taker.
And that
Well,
does make a difference. Yeah. When we talk about being able to be not just sustainable for ourselves, but being able to create something for somebody else, which is essentially what you were talking about from Joe Dudley.
right.
The thing is, I tell people, I'm like, I don't know how big I want to get. I don't really feel like I want employees because I don't really want to pay taxes on anybody else. I got enough doing my own stuff, but I do want to have contractors. You know what I mean? And if that's where I'm comfortable at, I know that with every event that we do, we are able to employ somebody that is woman-owned, Black-owned, LGBT, something in that community that we serve, because we want to put that money back into those communities. And so for us, that's an important factor. All right, so Jonathan.
Let me just say,
go ahead.
let me add this one last thing. Because
Uh-huh.
I heard Dr. Herbert Harris, he says, no one will ever pay you what you're worth.
Oh,
They will
yeah.
pay you what you're worth to them, but not what you're worth. So if you really want what you're worth, you got to get out there and do it yourself.
You do?
Yeah.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Jonathan, I'm going to transition that same question to you.
I'm going to take a similar stance and as Dr. Jimmy and say not necessarily what we need to stop doing, but what we should start doing more of, which is putting your money where your mouth is. We talk a lot about small business owners and supporting local economies and the great impact that small businesses have on their communities. It's all true. So you as a small business owner supporting other small businesses. To Chisa's point about the events that she puts on, she's always finding other people in the community that can support those events. So if you are a local producer of something, try and be sourcing your goods as locally as possible. It might come at an additional cost, but looking at the kind of the state of America and capitalism run wild, do you really want to be funneling more money up to these big corporations that are absolutely nothing for the people that they claim to serve? Or do you want to try and keep that money in your community where it will have an impact, where it will benefit your business by creating a more robust local economy and give you opportunity to become a leader in your community by saying, look at what we're doing. This is a model that works. This is how other businesses can operate and be successful. And we don't have to do it. We don't have to do it on the back of an Amazon or a Walmart or, compete with these big corporations. But we can create these jobs in our community. We can develop this and tell your customers to do the same thing, right? Small businesses are incredible economy of the US, and they very rarely get spoken about in terms of the broad economic impacts or the state of the economy that we look at. So it's really important to focus locally, and as your business, don't try and go global on day one, right? Think about how you can start small, build sustainably, and yeah, maybe someday you'll get there, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the end goal for every entrepreneur.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that sometimes we don't look at, like I said, my favorite C word aside from Chisa is capacity. And we don't look at our capacity. But if we did rely on each other from an ecosystem standpoint, we'd see that our capacity is much bigger than we originally anticipated. So whereas I may have an idea for something, somebody else may be able to build onto that idea. Then they have a resource, then they have a connection, and somebody needs to do such and such. And then all of a sudden it's together. And I always like to think like, whenever you come into certain situations, certain people can just put up something and it's sold out and it's in no time, right? So why are people willing to spend $1,200 or more on a Beyonce ticket? But that same $1,200 they wouldn't spend to start a business, right? Or let's go this route, because I have another young lady that I follow, and she's just like, so you have people, let's go with the shoes thing, that'll spend the money on a pair of Jordans, but don't have a passport to get out of the country. So I think that it is in where we allocate our resources. I think that it is our mindset that we have about being able to actually grow and being able to produce. And so there are certain things that I recognize I'm never necessarily going to be a producer of that, right? Because I might not want to start from scratch. But there are things that I can learn. So in today, I know you guys weren't here earlier, but I made some new little AI videos and I created cute little graphics that I call one LaShawn doll and one Latasha doll. So the other ladies wanted new little dolls. They were like, well, why didn't I get a doll? And it was like, because, you know, I work with LaShawn and Latasha all the time. So I knew them and knew exactly what to say for their videos. And the thing is, I didn't have to be the person that coded everything from the beginning, right? But there are people that do that. But the thing was to be able to get that message out in a new way and to expand people's minds. So even though we're talking, you might want to watch a cartoon version. You know what I'm saying? That may be the thing that turns you on to somebody's business. So I want you to also take what Dr. Jimmy was talking about in relation to technology and utilize it to the best of your ability. You don't have to start from the beginning and know how to do everything, but there are so many apps out here now that can do so much stuff for you. So what I want you guys to do is tell us what your ecosystem call to action is. So Jonathan, what do you need people to do in relation to Carolina Small Business Development, or is it an event that you want them to come to or anything like that?
So we have our Small Business Awards and annual meeting coming up on June 5th. That's going to be at Union Station in Raleigh.
Okay.
It's going to be open to the public. Yeah, it's going to be a great event. So we will be giving out some awards to some of our client businesses and just using it as a way to connect with community and get people to engage with our organization. So definitely encourage y'all to come to that. Other than that, I will be at all of the other events that you've been hearing about throughout the day. The Durham Business Expansion Expo coming up on May 6th. And just generally, if you have any questions about getting funding for your business, go ahead and reach out. There's a link on our website that's our request for counseling link. If you complete that, no matter where you are in the state, it will, based on your location, connect you with the closest business solutions officer to you. So just, don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to help and to help guide you through that process. It can be a very daunting thing if you've never applied for funding before. And so we're happy to talk you through it and make you comfortable with that process. So yeah.
All right. And Dr. Jimmy, your
Sure.
ecosystem call to action.
The call to action to everyone listening is find your tribe. Find a group of like-minded individuals that are doing what you want to do or going in the direction you want to go in, and join them, and be active in them. You, like I said earlier, you can't do it alone. It said that the average person knows 250 people. And so if you just network with one person each week, that's expanding your network by 250 people, because now when your service or product comes up on their mind, they're going to be thinking about you. So just network, find your tribe of like-minded individuals, and that's what Every.Black is all about. That's what Ms. Brown's organization is all about. Find the one that fits, that's a good fit for you, and be active in it and join them. So that's the call to action. Find your tribe.
And you will see him. You'll see Dr. Jimmy also, because he's going to be at the Business Expansion Summit. So we'll see everybody there on May 6th. If you haven't registered, I'll put the link in the chat. Everybody that is watching live, if you would go ahead and give us a little review, okay? This is basically, it's kind of like the talking portion, because it's more driven to me, because this is an app that we use called Talkadot, which allows people to kind of rate what they thought about the particular presentation. So I don't know, when you joined today, but if you would leave us some feedback, that'd be really, really great. And you can also go on Google and you can look up Give It to the People, and you can leave hopefully a 5-star review on Google. But we love to get feedback from people. And one of the things that I like to do is, again, shine a light on other people. It is not all about me, but I do understand that we can't be as strong if it's just about us, right? And so that's why we did this Be an Ecosystem Summit. We're going to do another one later on in the year. And we have other events that are coming up that we'll definitely be inviting you to. But if you go to giveitgetit.biz, that is where you can find our membership and you can join on there. and list your events and connect with people. And you can definitely go to Every.Black and check out what Dr. Jimmy is doing. Go to Carolina Small Business Development, Infinity Bridges, Being and Becoming. Ednithia was on earlier, Alamance Small Business Center with Felicia. So we have had, and then also we had EDP&C on today. So just want to let you know that there are always great things that are in your community, but sometimes you do have to seek them out. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to give you something that was tangible for you so that this way you could be in the ecosystem. So I love to start on time and end on time. If y'all know me, I told you 2:00, we are going to be out of here. Plus I have a meeting at 2:00. So I definitely need to be done with this so I can get on to the next meeting. But I always want to give people value. And so people were like, well, you're doing this for free. I am doing this for free because, as Dr. Jimmy said, a lead magnet. As Jonathan said, a way to get people in and let them understand what you're doing and communicate. And so I hope that we've done that for you today, and I hope that we've brought value. So I want to thank you guys both for being on and let you get back to what you're doing. And now you can reclaim like 3 minutes of your life today. Dr. Renee said, wonderful summit. Great. We love that. So again, at the end of all of my things, I like to tell people, make sure that they always show up and show out, and that you continue to give it to the people, because to me, that is what is really important. So I hope you enjoyed this, and tell a friend. And if you're watching it live, you can go ahead and share that link right on YouTube. And again, go ahead and just let us know what we did. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. So everybody else, guess what? Now it is time for you to understand what being in the ecosystem really means. I hope that you are going to come to some events. I hope that you are going to be active in your own success. I hope that you're going to use the social media, the apps, all the things that are there at your disposal, because it is important for us to grow. And I hope that you'll also, if you go back, you can watch where you can download. I have 8 pages worth of the banned words, so that if you want to make those changes and those adjustments and have alternative language to use on your website for marketing your business, that you take advantage of that, so that this way you can be in compliance, but you can also serve who you serve authentically. And that to me is an important factor, which is why I give it to the people. We serve the people. Make sure that you, that you always show up and show out, and that you continue to give it to the people. And me and little baby Tammy are going to say, bye, y'all. Have a great day, everybody.